Superman, the trailer, it hit and hit big, everybody. We are excited about it. Everybody's excited about it. Now, as the hype is real, you start to get into those questions, right? Because DC hasn't had a billion-dollar movie since Aquaman, and that was when the comic book movie was really on the up and up all the way around. So the question is, with DC, and now there's a rumor that the budget is anywhere between like $250 and $360 on this movie, to which James Gunn has debunked the $360 rumor. However, the question is, with a budget of that size, even if it isn't there, it's got to hit in the high 600s, high 700s. Can it do it? Will Superman be the first movie out the gate, and will it get to that billion? Will it be I think it'll be the first Superman movie to ever make $1 billion. Is that a possibility? Do we think it could happen now? We'll discuss that. We'll discuss that and some more DC stuff. It's James Gunn. He had mentioned on Josh Horowitz's show that at one point he had considered Robert Pattinson in the DCU. Well, if you believe this new rumor, they say that James Gunn is still wants him, but it's Matt Reeves that's giving a little bit of pushback. Do we think that's true? We'll discuss that. As far as Marvel stuff, big rumor by our good friend Jeff Snyder and John Roca. They reported that Sadie Sink is going to be Jean Grey in the Xmen. And if that's the case, how's that going to work? Does that mean that's the kind of casting, that's the age range they're going on? So we got a lot to talk about here today, guys. It's myself, Winston A. Marshall, Coy Jandro, who could have been a UFC fighter, I think. So let's get into this, ladies and gentlemen. It is what is happening now? Oh, this is BS. Of course, for some reason, I don't know. They changed everything up. No, I'm kidding. I'm talking to myself. I was lying. None of that happened. You saw nothing. Everything is just fine. Here's the show. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the Kristian Harloff Show. It is Friday. It is the Capes and Cowls edition. And as always, Winston A. Marshall. Still waiting. We're waiting on that computer for Winston.
God damn it.
And Coy Jandro. Look at Coy. Coy's got a really good camera. How's that mic? Muted. Perfect. Wonderful.
You're still muted.
Oh, no, my debut with a microphone.
But it sounds
I think
good.
It's the best I've ever sounded on the show.
That is true. It is accurate. So we're almost there. We're at 75%. We just got to get away.
66.6%.
That's it. We're almost there.
Well, Winston sounds good, so he's at half. So I think
does.
that puts us at like 78, right?
Does.
It's just Winston's camera.
It's true. So there's a lot of things to talk about. The first thing I want to go away from the comic book movie stuff for a second before we start, because as you guys know, and you guys, even when we talk off camera, I say this, I have been talking, when we talk about Lucasfilm, and we talk about how, I've told you guys, the audience knows that I've been saying this, that I've been talking about how I think the main thing that needs to change is not the comic book stuff, not the animation stuff. I said that it really needs to start within film and TV. I am no longer going to say that.
Interesting.
Because I'll tell you why. My friend, Derek Hoffman, who you guys may remember from being on the show. He's been on the show before. I've been friends with him for over 15, 20 years now. He was at Donner's company forever, and he was part of a lot of different X-Men stuff and Deadpool and everything. He's a brilliant mind for this stuff, and he's a big Star Wars guy. Well, he has joined Lucasfilm, and he's got a very big position there. And I learned this from Instagram, and he said he told everybody through Instagram, which is very smart. Almost 25 years ago, I walked into a bungalow on the Fox lot to interview for a PA gig. I didn't even know what the movie was. As soon as I walked through the door, I saw images of characters I'd grown up loving. I turned to the guy at a desk next to the door, and I asked, is this Xmen? What's going on with Colossus and Kitty? Is Nightcrawler in it? Thankfully, that guy was Kevin Feige, who took me to meet two people who would change my life. Dick and Lauren Schuler-Donner have helped me grow as a person and a professional. I often say that they are even better people than they are filmmakers, which is astounding considering what great filmmakers they are, the lesson learned, the laugh shared, and the relationships formed during my time at the Donner's Company deserve more than I give them here, and they have prepared me for what is next. I'm very honored to say that I have now joined the team at Lucasfilm and can't wait to help tell stories in a whole new galaxy.
Wow, dude.
Now, what I can tell you is this. For people who don't know Derek Hoffman, as Star Wars fans, rejoice. I said that as much because that's why I said in the beginning of this thing that I am not going to say what I've been saying about the restructuring anymore because I believe this is part of it. I believe that they've just done that with Derek Hoffman. I think Derek Hoffman is going to be an amazing, amazing addition to that team. I think they are very smart for bringing him in. You look at his resume and the things that he's done. If you've seen him on this show and you've heard his brilliant mind for this, he is a wonderful human being. He's a good friend, but he's also someone you want on your team. So this is going to be good for everybody.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's to start it up. The second thing I told you we we're going to talk about Mike Kalinowski.
I'm fascinated. I didn't know if that was going to be to kick off the show.
No, not yet. But you guys, so here's the thing. So on Monday, Rocha came in hot. He was so upset. He was annoyed. He was very annoyed with the text from us last week that you guys did it once again and won the week. He was annoyed. And Rocha hasn't been annoyed and wanted to get in the game. He's like, I'm getting in the game. I'm doing this. And he goes, all right, everybody, let's get to 100, right? So the audience got behind him and he got to 100, right? So then the next day, Roxy was like, I'm not going to be able to do that, but I'll do it. And we were about to sign off. Roxy had like 73. The audience said, nope, you're beating Rocha. 116, Roxy on Tuesday. To which yesterday we had on, Wednesday we had RB3.
I left before the end.
Yeah, Wednesday we had RB3 on, and RB3 had a great debut with like 70. So yesterday we had over, because of the Superman trailer breakdown, we had over 1,800, almost 2,000 people watching live, right? So Kalinowski started off pretty good, but by the time we got the questions things, he was like 70 or 80 by the time it was over. So I go, come back again, and I think he yesterday, I think it was, I'm going to tell you it's about 120. So I'll get the final number of it. So that's what you guys have had a great couple of weeks, but this might be tough to do this week because of the Superman trailer.
But that's why I think we can, because obviously I know that Mike is a huge DC guy,
yes.
DC movie news. But we have the man that is the DC podcast, and B, this is what Capes and Cowls was founded on, and C, I wore my ugly Christmas sweater.
Oh, there you go. Oh my, yeah, it's perfect. Well, Mike, the number is 124. 124 is what Mike had, so it's a big number. But the positive is, before we even started the show yesterday, Mike was at 20. Right before we even started the show, you guys are at 23 currently, so it's a good start.
Also, is the positive that Rocha has already lost and will be even madder on Monday?
He might. Well, he'll probably win. Well, I don't know, because Winston's going to do live with me next week. So
I'm just saying, if he's coming off of like coming in angry and then just throughout the week chipped away at that's going to be a fiery Rocha Monday.
It will be, but we're all going to be fiery because listen, we haven't had a chance to talk about it yet, but the Superman trailer, it did drop yesterday. This is just some of the stuff here. This is more images, but promo shows Clark Kent's transformation to Superman. His trailer music is also officially released. People are loving the trailer music and everything about the music, and it's just it's wonderful. So I think that this can just go into all of our conversations here about I want to get your thoughts, both your thoughts on the trailer, and then B, we're going to dive into the main topic, which of course is how successful we think this movie will be with the hype around it. Because normally what I also look at, if you look at like No Way Home, right? You can gauge the hype based around what people are looking at on whether it's reactions, social reactions, like things like that. And I noticed, like when we did our No Way Home stuff, whether it was the, whatever it was, the trailer reviews, those things, and they hit hard. my thing yesterday, normally my reactions can do anywhere from, if they are from a really good movie, 15 to 30,000. It hit over 100,000 in like 8 hours, right? The Real Rejects, I think, are pushing like 500-600 right now, 1,000, or maybe even more at this point. There are a lot of people that you look at it and you look at the numbers that are higher up in it, and all that means is that people are searching for this thing. They want to see it. Yes, there were a couple people, and there's always going to be people who are just trying to say this is going to be terrible. Like, that's just it. They have nothing. That's just part of what they. It's not going to. Yeah, it's not. Well, there are some people who legitimately feel that it just doesn't want a good trailer, and that's fine. And then there's other people who just don't want to like it because they don't want to let go of the past, right?
Sure.
Which is fine. But it doesn't take away from the hype on this movie. Winston, let's start with you, man. What did you think of the trailer overall? And did you like, because you're not a Superman guy, so I wonder what you thought of the trailer.
I thought it was fantastic. I had heard a number of people say they teared up. I didn't tear up, but I definitely was fully drawn in and was emotionally invested completely. Everything from obviously the reaching out to Crypto and calling for Crypto and that whole moment. The saving of the kid, that's the image that I've seen over and over and over again. And then the can upside the head. And then the last one is you and a number of people going, who's this schmuck? When you see Guy Gardner with the bowl cut, and people not understanding that's Guy. That's actually a very good representation of him. Yeah,
that's what Mike told me too. Yeah.
But I'm excited about this entire thing because what I'm seeing is somebody who is trying to be fully true to the core of what the storytelling around these characters, and not just Superman. Obviously, he is the focal point, but like even what Nicholas Hoult was doing. I was actually texting Kalinowski, and I talk like once a year, and I texted him yesterday just to be like, bro, did you see? What do you think? And he was like, oh, this is crazy. And we both agreed. Nicholas Hoult is setting himself up to be Michael B. Jordan from Black Panther, where obviously you still talk about T'Challa and what Chadwick brought and all of that, but a lot of the quotables, a lot of the things that came out of Black Panther was, damn, what did Killmonger have a point? Wow, this the hey auntie and this your king and all of that. I have a feeling Nicholas Hoult is going to run away with the show here. I think Cornsweat will still be a star when it's all said and done, but I genuinely think this is going to be Nicholas Hoult's coming out party where he's not somebody that people in the industry and then all know. And then the everyday person is like, oh yeah, that guy was in I think he was in the Xmen movie or whatever. This will be the day that Nicholas Hoult is like A-list. Everyone knows his name. I can already tell just based off of the few images we got out of him with this.
Well, it's interesting, Coy, that Winston says that because what I think that you look at that that casting, and I can't remember what the other one was. I think they mentioned someone mentioned Tom Hiddleston on the show yesterday and said it's very similar how Tom Hiddleston went out for Thor, gets Loki, and you can't imagine anyone else as Loki, right? Nicholas Hoult goes out for Superman and gets Lex, and I feel like we're going to be seeing the same thing about him.
I agree, and I also think that there's a part of Nicholas Hoult that's really excited to flex a different muscle in Lex. I feel like Nicholas Hoult, these two amazing extremes, right? He has this audacious Nicholas Hoult in The Great and these big braggadocious roles. And then he's also got this incredible like demurring side where he's like able to play a little like remove like The Menu and Nux and all these things where he's like a big guy that's like pulling back. Even Nosferatu, like he's got these two amazing polar sides. I love Lex for him because Lex is so audacious that he'd think as a regular guy he could take out Superman, but he's also got this side of him that's very like, I'm doing this for my city, I'm doing this for my species, I'm doing this, that's very like inward, and he's also a guy that didn't get the love he wanted from his father. Like it's kind of like a greatest hits of what Nicholas Hoult plays. So I think that's going to be more interesting than even necessarily what he would have done as Superman, just because I feel like everything led to Nicholas Hoult playing Lex Luthor in a really interesting way. I even asked like what he was reading and what he enjoyed, and he's got so many books he was able to just rattle off, and he had so much to say about like going back to the source material, but also finding it in himself. And the conviction of rereading comic books on set was really interesting because a lot of people would be like, I want to know what I'm playing. He would like cite it like it was an encyclopedia. Like he'd go back to the source and be like, well, and I rediscovered blah, blah, blah. And I was like, man, this guy's doing such a great, like passionate drive for this character that I love to see.
I'm so glad that you said that because so on this Tuesday, because next week is obviously our holiday week, and we're all kind of taking a break. Coy's going to be off next week, taking a much needed break. We're going to be Winston and I will be here on Friday. I'll be live with Roke on Monday, but on Tuesday, my interview with Sean Gunn will air, and I talked to Sean for a bit, and Sean said stuff. He said, growing up, I wasn't a comic book guy. I was into sports, and James wasn't, but I was into the sports, and I would pick up some of the comic books sometimes and read them and look at them and go, oh, he's like, but when I'm doing this stuff with him now, he'll tell me where to go, and he'll tell me what to look for and look at and go. And I feel like James is doing that with everybody, right? With Nicholas Hoult and everyone else too. It's like, look, I hate normally when people go, oh, they told me don't pay attention to the comic books. Don't pay attention. It's like, that happens a lot. They said, even on the original X-Men movies, Hugh Jackman famously said, they told me not to read any X-Men comics. And it's like, oh.
I want to share a very specific story that proved to me not only is David Cornsweet Superman, but David Cornsweet is versed in the world of Superman. We were talking at the trailer teaser event release, and not only was he like citing certain artists, because I was describing the visuals of the teaser, and he's like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And it was citing like Quitely, and was citing Sale, and was citing artists that I love. But we're talking about his big brother, who is a big inspiration for him to play Superman. And then after the conversation shifts into like, oh, someone wanted to take a photo with him, so I like tried to give him a second. He then turned back to me, and he's like, oh, dude, let's do World's Finest. And so my picture with Cornsweet was him saying World's Finest, which is Batman and Superman back-to-back teaming up. And it was his idea. So I've got a picture where I'm effectively Batman, more like Green Arrow. But it was his idea to be like, dude, let's do World's Finest.
So
I was like, he's so versed that he nerd acknowledged me, because he knew that I would be like, this is the moment. And like, I'm going to have that the rest of my life.
Yeah, that's pretty great. I saw a lot of that footage of people that were doing it. And it was the marketing for this has been very well done. Getting the hype, and it leads us into our conversation, right? Leading the train of hype is what they've been doing from the second they announced it. They had that first image of David Cornsweet kind of shooting up into the air with the music and debuting that music, and the first kind of Hans Zimmer-esque Gladiator almost singing the John Williams, humming the John Williams theme, which was a kind of great homage between both of it. And then when they debuted the trailer, it's basically Top Gun, but with the John Williams theme, which is great. And if you listen to what James Gunn said about Top Gun, that a lot of the flight battles are based off of Top Gun Maverick, which I thought was also brilliant. But he's building this up the right way. He's hyping it up. It clearly is becoming like an event. And that is why, like, whatever the budget might be, there's rumors that the budget's anywhere between 250 to 360. Apparently James Gunn debunked the 300. I don't know what's true, what's not, but either way, let's say it's 275 million, this movie, right? So we know the movie has to make at least 670, 650 maybe to break even, around there, 600, 650 to break even, depending on marketing. And if that's the case, and he's also said this too, he's very aware that if Superman does not perform, that's the end of this DCU. He said it himself. We've all been saying it, but he said it himself. He's very self-aware. But with this type of hype, I saw someone in the comments say the reason that No Way Home made money is just because it was a team up. That's ludicrous and silly. That's the only reason why. Now, was that part of the build up for that movie? Yes, but it doesn't mean that other movies can't be hyped up. If people get excited for good movies, people get excited for movies and want to see it, because Avatar's still making $1 billion. It's not a team up, and it was 13 years later after the first sequel, so that makes no sense. But what does make sense is if people are hyped and if it's good and it gets repeat viewing, this movie could make $1 billion. I think it has a good shot. I'd say right now it's aiming between 800 and $1 billion. Coy, what say you?
I think if the indicators of the stuff you were talking about at the top of this, people looking at reactions, people experiencing it over and over again, people rewatching that trailer, which I know many people are, including myself. I know that the record's broken with the trailer launch on DC Studios YouTube, not Warner Brothers. I love that it's getting its own little corner, and the records it's breaking there. I think it can clear $1 billion. I'm really not worried about I'm not worried about the association of sequels leading to a new thing when it's a character that is such a strong entity in the universe. Like, I know all these superheroes are huge, but Superman is Superman. Like, it's a different thing. And your Avatar points to the exact example I'd give. You don't need a movie to be a sequel to hit $1 billion if the character and the energy and the hype behind it is strong. I personally think it's going to clear $1 billion out of the reaction we've seen in one day. This is so, we're 7 months out and this teaser is so, it's a shift. It feels, and I got people complaining already of how I've been talking about this movie, but I personally think that pop culture is culture. I personally think that pop culture can change things. I think that if there's enough negativity in the world, that everything's going to feel negative. I've got this thing I talk about, like yellow car. Like when you buy a yellow car, all of a sudden you see yellow cars everywhere.
Yeah.
I think we have been surrounded by a lot of hate and negativity, and the world has been dark. And I think if we have a beacon of light, an aspirational figure, and if we start to shift the cultural conversation through pop culture, a popular culture, we can make things positive in ways that are at least hope. And I feel like this is already inspiring hope. I've seen more positivity in the internet in the last 36 hours than I'm used to, and it feels so good already. So I hope it can make $1 billion for the sake of the movie, but I hope it can also make $1 billion for the sake of humanity, to see that there is goodness to strive for, and that's Superman.
Well, I think that's also what Gunn is aiming for with this, for sure. Winston, now, the other thing is the point to kind of counter myself, right, with as Coy says that it could make $1 billion, I think that it could get close. The thing to keep in mind, and if you want to use, again, both of our examples of Avatar came out in December when it had basically no competition whatsoever. This movie's coming out right after Jurassic Park, which has made $1 billion, Jurassic World, whatever, it's made $1 billion the last 3 times it's hit the theater, maybe more. And now, right after that, 2 weeks later, is Fantastic Four. So it really has that 2-week window to make its chunk. With that in mind, where do you think it goes?
Barbenheimer. They released same weekend and both essentially cleared $1 billion. I want to say Barbie was 1.38 and Oppenheimer was like 988 when it was all said and done. Something like that.
Example. Yeah.
I think that there's more than enough space to do it. I understand that you are cannibalizing a baby bit with Fantastic Four and Superman being superhero movies, but you got to understand that there's such different things on the line there, where Superman is setting up the DCU, which we got to talk Creature Commandos because it's been fantastic.
Yeah,
but
the Weasel one was great.
Yeah. But you're talking about the that almost feels like the opening act, and then Superman is here comes the artist we mainly paid to come see type situation. That this is the opening to the DCU, and after a teaser like this and all that, that's what's on the line here with Fantastic Four. It's not that people aren't excited about Fantastic Four. Of course they are, especially since there's talks that like this is where we're going to potentially get our intro to Doom and all that kind of stuff and things like that. And it feels like of all the MCU films, that's probably the one that sounds like is the most hyped up next year.
Yeah.
But I just don't, even though they're the same genre, it does not feel like they would ultimately cannibalize each other like that. And I think, truthfully, at the end of the day, if you were talking about these were 2 kids films coming out at the same time, that I could see it being more of a situation of, I don't think everybody has enough money to go do this, because you're not going to take your kids to both of them that weekend. You can't afford to do that necessarily. But if you're talking about the person that is going to see this, you're bringing families, but it's all of us that are watching this anyway, as well as general audiences. If enough good stuff is out, enough people will either, I'm going to 2 movies that month.
Yeah.
Like they're looking ahead and going, I'm going to go see both of those.
Well, that's a good point though too. If you get people excited about it enough, and both movies could accomplish this. If the Fantastic Four trailer is amazing and people want to see it, and be like, well, hey, look, man, I want to see both of those movies. It's summertime. We haven't back in the day, or even not back in the day, in like 2018, 2019, people would be like, hey, this movie comes out this week. That another movie comes out next week. I'm going to see both because I love watching movies. I know that the business has changed a little bit, but we've also not had that kind of release schedule. COVID had a lot to do with that, obviously, and now things have changed. 2025 is going to be that kind of summer that just things are just coming out left and right. So there's a good opportunity. And the other point that was made that I agree with is the movie doesn't have to make $1 billion to be a success. Right. I think that depending on what the budget does, what I'd said is this. If it doesn't make money, if it loses money, it's the end of DCU. If it just breaks even, you can still make more movies, but you've got to change your plan. If it makes a little bit of money, then you can go, okay, look, it made a little bit of money. We'll make some money off of streaming and other things, and putting it on other platforms, and that's not what we wanted. But hey, at least we made an extra $50 million. But 100 million, 200 million over, that's a success, depending on what the budget is.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Coy, go ahead.
I also think there's a world of launching something is going to bring in lots of marketing. It's going to bring in lots of, like, they already did an incredible merch drop for Superman in December, and the movie comes out in July. So I think looking at the macro of impact just on everything is part of it. Like the DCU is launching. The trailer felt like the kickoff to the DCU as well as Superman. So I do think that there's a kind of a snowball rolling that we're going to be looking at everything as it, becomes cumulative. So I'm really curious. Like we've never launched a universe while shared universes have been popular.
Yeah.
Like the MCU was like, how are they doing this? And then the Monster Universe was like, we can't do this. And now it's a new thing. I'm really curious what it looks like in this post 2020 world to see these box office numbers and how it adds up.
It's so funny though too, because again, where people don't realize, people like, how can you judge billions off of that a movie make billions off of a teaser trailer? It's called hype. It's called numbers. It's called, you look at certain things that you can look at when you start to look at when it becomes a conversation, right? This movie is a conversation, and it's bringing in people. It's bringing in, like, I've gotten so many texts from people who are not really into the movies and the movie space going, hey, did you see that new Superman trailer? I didn't know there was a new Superman movie coming out. That is awareness. That is why you can start to see that, as opposed to look at something like Skeleton Crew, which everyone who watches Skeleton Crew says that it's enjoyable and that they like it, right? No one's talking about that show, and the ratings are suffering because of it. No one's talking about that show. It's like, and you can also, in the same way that I talked about with certain reactions and certain videos that you're looking at with channels, they're not doing well because nobody cares about the show. As far as, not the people who are watching it care about the show, but outside of it, people don't even really necessarily know what it is. Now, that's two different scales tremendously with a show that's made for streaming and then a big blockbuster movie like this. But it's called awareness, and that is the main thing that you can. It doesn't always work. You read about it and you see these certain things, and there are times that, like, look at like something like both Madam Web and Craven, right? Both of those movies, I looked at like trailer reactions or out of the theater reactions. All of those out of the theater reactions did well because people went, "Oh my God, that poor asshole went and saw that movie. What did they think of it?" And I want to see is it really that bad? And that doesn't mean the movie's going to make money. It just means they want to hear, is it going to be that bad? You know what I mean? So if there's a lot of hype behind it, I feel like it could make a ton here, Winston, because a win, I think, could be anywhere between, like, $600, $700 million.
1,000%, man. I think that's it. The one thing that we have said over and over and over again, I do not believe that it is superhero fatigue. It is poor quality fatigue, like my camera here. That's the type of thing that turns people off and makes them want to walk away.
I'll just do this. You talk and we'll show the good.
That's totally fine. Right now I have a voice for radio, so that's totally fine. So I just say all that to say that, like, you bring something high quality, they're going to show up, and if you need proof of that, Guardians. If you need proof of that, Deadpool and Wolverine. I understand those are wrapping up trilogies and things like that, but as long as you bring quality, people will be there. And that has been proven time and again. And if it's not good, I'm not going to waste my hard-earned money, especially if you want to not take it full blown. But people have been frustrated about the economy and everything else. They're counting their dollars. So they're going to use them in situations where they feel like they're going to get something out of it. And based off of what we saw in that trailer, this is high quality content with a character that we care about. Stop thinking IP solves the problem. IP done well can solve the problem.
That's 100% right.
Do it well.
That's right.
I also love, and Kristian touched on it, but people reaching out and texting does feel like even bigger than looking at reaction numbers and all those things.
Yes.
Like it's one of the things where I'm like, oh, people want to connect over this. And it's done two things for me already. Like, as soon as I heard the music, I thought of Kristian, because Kristian's a huge part of why I listen to scores differently. So I was like, oh, that's something that could be a different, unique conversation with someone I already talked to about this stuff, but it actually piqued my interest. And then another thing was, it made me go, how are people that aren't big on Superman feeling about this? So I thought of Winston. And it's cool because we always talk every week about this stuff, but the fact that the trailer launched and I thought of different thoughts and different connectivity and different conversation has me, like, excited for the ongoing conversation over the next 7 months. The fact that it's not going to be like a one and done flash in the pan, like, oh, a 2-minute teaser. I literally, like, I've tweeted, I'm on Twitter so much less because I'm a happier person, but I literally tweeted, sometimes the block stands for hope. And that was me just being like, I don't need to interact with people that are going to be mad just for mad's sake. It's funny that this movie is already, the character is so beautifully aspirational. I just don't want to bother with people that are mad just for the sake of being mad.
There are a few people who are throwing the back of the thing at Superman's head, like they did in the trailer.
Yeah, and like those people just aren't worth.
But there's also other people that inside of the space, and people that I like that were like, there were certain. I saw a few people that were writing things like, well, they didn't say anything in the trailer. I'm like, it was a teaser trailer.
It was
like
7 months out.
I'm like, do you know how many trailers? Good teaser trailers. You never hear anything about the story. You don't know what the story is. I can't even tell you how many times during schmoes you're going, okay, wait a minute. We see these images. We have this. Oh, they're basically showing you the tone. Is what they're showing first. That's what the first teaser trailer is, always the tone. And then the second trailer is when you get some dialogue, and then when you get like the story itself. That's just marketing 101.
Dude, and they're usually like under a minute. Sorry, Winston.
Yeah.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say this back to our conversation from last week. The one thing we said they need to do is they need to kind of pull the Barbie teaser where you set up something epic and what the tone was going to be. And the tone for that first Barbie one is like, we're really going to talk about the history of Barbie and like what it means to girls and all that kind of stuff, just with that basic, Odyssey 2001 theme and the girls with the dolls. Like that was it. And this is the same thing we got here. It was the idea of, you saw the love, you saw the battles, you saw all just enough to go, I know what world we're in right now. And enough Easter eggs in there for all of us that are in this geek space to just salivate and be like, oh my God, there's the perfect guy wig. Hawk Girl looks amazing. Is that Ultraman? He kind of looks like Black Noir in that outfit. Like just the number of ways in which we have been able to go and dissect it. And then again, you mentioned the everyday person, because Coy did the same thing. I thought about Kristian with the score. I thought about you where I was like, okay, this is that, right? And this is this is this. The fact that, again, I text Mike and we talk once a year, but then I look at like my hood friends who were just like,
who, Kalinowski?
Hey. Huh? No, not Kalinowski, not the hood friend.
Hell no, not Mike, the hood friend.
Yes, Mike. So I text Mike once a year. That's what I'm saying.
That's why he's Mike.
Can someone hold on a second. Wait, hold on. Can somebody who's good at Photoshop please do a as politically correct version of Mike as in the hood? That'd be so great. Thank you.
Friday is a Christmas movie, and I want to see Mikey Christmas.
Oh my God!
It would be like that Jamie Kennedy movie.
Dude, wait, make Mike Debo. That would be hilarious.
Hollywood's Most Wanted, Mike.
Exactly. Schmodown's Most Wanted.
He moved down from Malibu.
We have a lot more. We got to talk about. We got some stuff to go into. But there's whether or not it makes a bill. The last statement I'll make about this too is that the reason, no, it doesn't have to make $1 billion to be successful. It does not. But what a statement it would be if the first movie out of the gate hits $1 billion. That is, hey, let's get moving with this thing. We just hit $1 billion with our first one. What's next? That's when you go, okay, we did. It's like, when the WWF was in their golden era, the one thing that needed to hit was WrestleMania 1 in 1985.
Mm-hmm.
If it would have failed, the whole company would have failed. But it didn't fail. It hit astronomical numbers. And when it did, it just took it off into the next level. So that's what they need. They need their WrestleMania here with this thing. So what do you guys think? Put your thoughts in there. Let us know. We want to know what you're thinking. Before we move on, I wanted to tell you guys about our good friends over at AG1. Here you go. Let me tell you about AG1. I've told you about AG1, and it's the best time to tell you about AG1 because it's the holiday season. And it is so hard, I'm telling you from experience, to stay motivated and to eat healthy during the holidays. It's always a challenge. So for me, what I make sure that I do, I have AG1 when I start off during the day. I know that if I'm going to have all my vitamins in one shot, I got AG1. Before AG1 was a part of my daily routine, I was all over the place. I was scattered, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do vitamins, but it takes 75 and different things and mix and match. It was a mess, so I couldn't do it. So for me, as you guys have seen, you guys have been so kind and complimenting. You're like, oh, I can tell you've lost weight. You look healthy. AG1. The travel packs are great too, because if I don't have the morning routine for some reason gets thrown off, and I'm like, oh man, I got the travel pack. I'm on the train. I put it in a water bottle. Done. What's so good about AG1 is it just sleep quality, more energy. It's wonderful. Try this new year. Try AG1 for yourself. It is the perfect time to start a new healthy habit, and that's why I've been partnering with them for so long. They've been with us since I started this show. And AG1 is offering new subscribers free $76 gift when you sign up. You get a welcome kit, you get a bottle of D3K2, and you get 5 free travel packs in your first box. So make sure to check out drinkag1.com/bigthing to get this offer. That is drinkag1.com/bigthing to start your new year on a healthier note. You will thank me, I promise. All right, thank you to our buddies over at AG1. Man, I love them so much. They're so great. I've had them forever, for as long as I think that we've been doing this show. So if you want to get a good holiday gift, make sure you head on over to AG1. Sign up. Do that today. All right, guys, we have in just a little bit, I've got my friend Mark Ricci, who's going to be on the show, and he's going to be talking about his new Spiderman film that he's got coming out. And it's pretty, I'm going to play the trailer for you guys when we get Mark in here. But as we wait for Mark, let's talk about this story that was reported by Jeff Snyder yesterday on Roka's show, I believe, on the Hot Mic. So here is the story itself, and that is that Stranger Things star Sadie Sink, reportedly the frontrunner to play Jean Grey in Xmen and Avengers. So we may have just gotten our first piece of Xmen casting as Jeff Snyder via the Hot Mic podcast, and his Insider newsletter is reporting that Sadie Sink, Stranger Things, the whale, whoever that is, please mute, is the current frontrunner to land the highly coveted role of Jean Grey in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, with her possibly set to debut in Avengers Doomsday. Snyder stresses that it's still early in the process, so things could change as casting ramps up for Doomsday and or Secret Wars, but he's very confident in the source. So this could absolutely be our first glimpse of what Kevin Feige and company are cooking for their X-Men movie, and it looks like they're going younger for some of the key players. While unconfirmed, it's likely the Russo brothers are involved with this casting, and they do have a pretty solid track record when it comes to finding exciting new talent, having previously played a part in casting Tom Holland as Peter Parker / Spider-Man in Captain America Civil War. Snyder also believes Marvel Studios may be eyeing a late 2027 release for X-Men, presumably placing the film in that November 5th, 2027 date the studio has already booked. This would place the film's launch just 6 months after Avengers Secret Wars is slated to hit the theaters. So if the report proves to be accurate, it seems as though Marvel Studios is keen on launching the mutant saga much sooner rather than later. No director is set for X-Men just yet, but it's probably not a stretch to expect news on that in the not distant future. I buy this story. And I think that I buy it for a lot of different reasons. Snyder's been on fire lately. Wherever he is, with the things that he's been talking, I know for a fact that the Jeremy Allen White thing is legit. From other people that I had talked to and other people that were reporting on it way before, and it's legit, and a lot of his things pan out. But I think the thing that's interesting about this is not necessarily, I like her as an actress, I think she's great, I think she's perfect for Jean Grey, but it goes right away into Coy, the casting, the ages of what they're going for, because she's probably in her early 20s right now, so they're going for the young mutants right off the bat here, and to build us for the next 10-15 years. Do you find that to be accurate?
Yeah, I was wondering if they were going to go with, I had two schools of thought. One is have the X-Men we know as teachers and bring in new, lesser known X-Men as, young characters. Or if we're starting, like Stan Lee era, if we're going back to having them as the characters we know and love maturing into X-Men. So this looks like they're going with the latter, which I think is smart. I really want to see X-Men grow. I'd love to start with a small team and have it build up. I think Sadie Sink is absolutely perfect, but I think you're right. The age frame is very informing to what the film is going to be, and I think this is the right move, and I think she's great for Jean Grey.
Winston, what do you think?
I think what you're doing is you have two people that already don't really age in Holland and Zendaya. You already have your young Avengers that you were kind of setting up as well. So you're kind of setting this up with your first mutant being Miss Marvel and her being on the younger side of things. You're setting up that mutants do feel like a new phenomenon in the world. So there are definitely some older mutants that'll probably come around in the Professor X's and the Magnetos, but everybody else, this is like this new thing that is kind of blossoming in the world, which makes sense because the one thing we've asked, where the hell have the mutants been this whole time? You're just going to explain that they all of a sudden exist? There's probably a population boom that's happening,
or it's a different universe.
I mean, that's also fully possible too. But
Winston, didn't they set that up though already? That it's a different universe from the end of the Marvels.
That Beast is canonically in a different universe. That one,
that one, yes,
right. That's different, and we don't know.
And I'm wondering if that's supposed to be the Fox already.
Right. But Miss Marvel exists within the 616.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Yes, so I think what they're setting it up to do is that there were some mutants that were around here, but there weren't a lot. But now all of a sudden, there's this. I think that's what's going to happen is we're going to see the age of mutants is going to come along, and that's essentially what I feel like is going to be the transition out of the multiversal saga into what's going to happen. Is it'll probably be, whether you call it the eight. I mean, Coy, you could probably guess better than I could, because I don't think the Age of M has ever been a thing. I know the House of M, obviously, but like I could see them coming up with something like that, and maybe they're pulling stories from whatever it is, and this is the era now we're going into. I feel like that is what this young casting is doing, is we're setting up plenty of runway for these young actors to be able to kind of take this on, because everyone knows the most popular two things out of Marvel over the course of history have been Spider-Man and the X-Men. Like, it doesn't mean that everything else hasn't had its time in the sun,
right? But
those are the two that have been consistent, and I think that that's what they're trying to do.
Good, Coy.
I think that this will be the next golden age of Marvel if they need it. I think that getting through the next couple Avengers films is kind of wrapping up the current saga, and I'm really curious if they usher in a new era with the X-Men as connected or disconnected. I'm really curious, like with Fox, these characters coming in with Fantastic Four as soon as next July, what that means for interacting with the X-Men. One of the things I've always liked about the X-Men is they feel like they're part of the universe, certainly, but they also feel separate enough. Like, the difference between Westchester, upstate New York, and New York City is fascinating.
Different
the
planets.
X-Men are
Planets.
Like they might as well be. It's like 2 hours, but it's like 200 years. It is such a different world, but they can have them interact and have your X-Men versus Avengers, have Spider-Man hanging out with Iceman. Like there are those elements, but I'm curious the way they take it in the movies, because I think it's a strong enough team. It doesn't have to feel as connected, and I want the X-Men to kind of be able to be their own thing without people going, "How does it connect to everything?" And I'm hopeful for that.
All right, so what do you guys think? Put your thoughts in there and let us know. Do you think the X-Men are going to be the next thing after the Avengers? I think that's probably the best thing that they could do to keep the momentum going if they end big on the Avengers and lead into that. So put your thoughts in there. Let us know. Okay, I'm going to give my good buddies Coy and Winston a little break here, because as I mentioned on the top of the show here, I don't know, it must have been, God, it's got to be at least 10 years, where when we were doing Schmoes, I remember this, at the time, kid reaching out to me and saying that he watched the show and he sent me some skits. I was like, this kid's pretty funny. I was like, who is this kid? I believe he's from Canada, too. I think he is. And I was watching his stuff, and I'm like, he's talented, this kid. And then you keep watching his career, and he's doing more stuff, and then he wound up in L.A., and I see him all over the place, and he's a man after my own heart, where he's a hustler, and he really, really puts forward his best creative foot forward every single time he puts something out, and he's a big Spider-Man guy, just like Coy. And so he has a film, and it is called The Final Swing, and it is a Spider-Man film, and I'm going to play the trailer here, and then I'm going to bring Mark in. So here is the trailer for Final Swing. Check it out.
I'm just scared that if you're always Spider-Man, you're going to forget.
All right, so with that, I want to bring in the star of that movie and my buddy, Mark Ricci. Mark, what's up, man?
Dude?
How are you, brother?
I'm okay. Thanks for showing that trailer.
Of course, man. Thanks for sending it over. And look, like I said in the beginning of it, I mean, I got to know you now at least 10 plus years easly, right?
Oh, dude, I remember listening to your podcast with Mark like back in the day. It's got to be more than 10 years now.
It's crazy. And it's pretty nuts. But I remember you showing up to the Schmodown events and everything, and you are from Canada, am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I remember, because I remember pretty clear. But tell me about the movie, man. Tell me exactly what you've been doing with it. Like, because you guys, I mean, you have a big billboard that you have in New York. Like, what? Tell me about everything that you put together and where the inspiration kind of came from to do it.
So I was actually cast. I was just an actor for hire in 2015. And I'm obviously big Spider-Man fan, and I was doing my own content as well. Then this channel found me, and they happened to live in Toronto as well. And so then we started like working together, and this is our 5th installment now, but we did it in a way where people can watch if they're newcomers and be caught up to speed. And, you know, just raising the stakes every time and resources. This time we got Venom and Carnage as the villains. So we got to like make a feature length film this time around. This is the first time it's like 2.5 hours long. Usually they're around 30 minutes to an hour. Right. But yeah, just every time trying to up the game a little bit. And mixing practical and CGI, and we found a guy who was hanging off buildings for us. So when you're seeing the movie with the Spider-Man effects, sometimes it's real. And you've been a big Spider-Man guy for as long as I remember. Oh, absolutely, yeah. And so that it felt like a dream come true to be able to like do it in some scope, you know. Yeah. And go ahead, please. And then this time around, it's like this is our last one. So like we're ending the series, so it's like the stakes are there, like leave nothing back. And yeah, we tried to wrap it up in a satisfying way. And people can come and check that out now, right? It's coming. It's out now. It's out. It's coming. Yeah, go ahead, please. Yeah, it's out now. It's on the Movie Man Mark channel, and it's also on the Six Side Studios channel. So. Okay, so what do you want to do, and what have you seen from doing these? Obviously, you've probably made a shit ton of contacts and people, and you've noticed. Because when did you start to see that the success came from it? Because I saw, look, I've got Jamie Costa is a close friend of mine, right? And Jamie Costa's done a bunch of like the Obi-Wan stuff and other things that he's done, and he got so much from doing those types of movies. He got himself a lot of contacts and things that helped him out in his career. You kind of finding the same thing? It's contacts, but it's experience. It's guiding the ship. I was starting just acting on the first one, and then got a little bit more involved every time. Started writing and then producing and casting and basically doing it all, wearing all hats. And really just the experience helped out a lot. Like I was able to do Gen V, and I feel like Spider-Man, the fan film series, prepared me for that a little bit. I think I did the self-tape for Gen V after shooting one of the days for Spider-Man. So I already had like blood and bruises on my face from shooting, and it fit with the scene. So I just kept it. And it worked out. Yeah, I forgot. Yeah, when I think I shot you a message when I saw you on Gen V. I was so excited to see you on there too. It was a great show, man. It was a great show. Oh yeah. They just wrapped season 2. I'm interested to see what they do. Me too. So well, that's good, man. So and then so after this is the final one in this series. You already have thoughts about what's coming next, or you're just taking one day at a time? I want to just do original films now, create original characters, and I have a couple scripts already. It's funny you mentioned Jamie Kennedy. I've been talking to him too, and have an idea that would be really great for him. Kind of like the type of character that he is in real life. So yeah, I had him on the show. He's an interesting cat, that dude. Well, good, man. I'm excited to I'm glad that you came on to talk about it, because especially for this show for Capes and Cowls, and because the problem with Coy can't see from the program he's in. He couldn't see the trailer, so I want to make sure, because he's a Spider-Man like nut. So I want. I was happy to talk to him a little bit at the Madam Web premiere. Actually. Good. So I'm glad you guys got to connect, because he's a huge Spider-Man guy, as we are too. So look, and I don't want this to sound condescending at all. I'm really proud of what you're doing, man, because I've been watching your career for like the last, 10 plus years, and this is awesome, and I'm rooting for you. So thanks for coming on and talking about the movie. I appreciate that, dude. You, Mark, Jeremy, and Chris were some of my idols in the game. So thanks, brother. It's really cool to be able to come back, and hopefully there's more. I'm sure there will be. I'm sure I'm going to be interviewing you in one of my one-on-ones, not too in the far future. You're a really talented dude. So good luck with everything. Let's do it. I hope maybe in studio one time. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you're in New York, let me know. Will do. All right, Mark Ricci, everybody. Thanks, Mark. All right, thanks, Kristian. Later. So I always love that, man. I love the idea of people just going out and doing shit on their own.
and being able to make things happen. So make sure you support Mark, and like he said, go check out his channel right now and go check that out. As I just played that trailer. So bringing back the guys, both Winston and Coy, gentlemen, how are you? How cool is it? How cool is that when somebody's just working on their own to get their shit done? You know what I mean?
It makes me happy, man. That good old hunting hustle.
Yeah, and it's so I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you heard at the end, Coy. You know, he said he talked to you at the, I guess what he said, the Madam Web. He ran into.
Oh yeah, we did connect there. I knew it was this year, but I couldn't think of when, and I think I blocked out that whole day.
Yeah,
but yeah, that was.
Yeah, which is fair. I got to send you, because I know you can't see it from here, but I got to send you the trailer. It's a very high production, and you rent out a whole big billboard in New York City to do it. It's like props, major props.
And a billboard in New York City is about a Spider-Man as an ad for a billboard. That was his
thought process. And I'll tell you, he's a really nice guy. I can't call him a kid anymore because I've known him for so long, but he's a really nice guy, and he's just very talented, and he's always been supportive of the stuff that we've done, and so I'd be supportive of him. So anyway, all right, let's get, guys, I'll tell you this. We're about to get into the questions in a second, but I want to get to this Batman story. But you guys are at 52 already. 52 before we even got to the questions yet. So you got a good shot to catch Kalinowski. We'll see. But let's do this story, and then we'll get into those things. Here's the story itself. And the rumor is that James Gunn wants Robert Pattinson as the DCU's Batman. Matt Reeves is apparently resistant to the idea. Mark Cassidy saying James Gunn's announcement that a new actor would be cast as the DCU's Batman for the Brave and the Bold movie was met with a mixed response. On the one hand, the prospect of a brand new take on the Dark Knight being introduced to the burgeoning cinema universe along with his fellow DC heroes is undeniably exciting. The other hand, we already have a perfectly good Cape Crusader in the Batman star Robert Pattinson. At the time, Gunn made it clear that Matt Reeves' Batverse would run alongside the DCU as an Elseworlds franchise, but we have since heard conflicting reports about the status of our current big screen Bat and DC Studios' plans to debut a new version of the iconic character. On the latest episode of The Hot Mic, co-host Jeff Schneider shared some of the things he's heard about the Batman situation. He believes that Gunn does indeed want Pattinson in the DCU, but Reeves is resistant to the idea. Apparently, the Batman's Part 2 production delays are a completely separate issue and come down to a personal thing that Snyder didn't want to get into. How much stock should we put into this? Well, we have no trouble believing that Gunn would see the sense in folding the Batverse into the DCU, if for no other reason than to avoid having two separate Batman franchises running alongside each other. By the time the Batman sequel actually hits theaters, there's sure to be at least some progress on the Brave and the Bold, and we know that Reeves has his heart set on helming a trilogy. Gunn has also admitted that he did consider bringing Pattinson as the DCU's Dark Knight. That was when he was on Horowitz's show. So, all right, here's where I stand with this. And Winston, I'll start with you here, man, because I feel like I've been pretty vocal in that I think they should keep it separate. I like the Elseworlds thing. I don't know why, and I could be wrong. I am starting to warm up to the idea of having Robert Pattinson as the DCU Batman. And I think maybe it's selfishly because I want the Penguin to be part of it and all that to be part of it. Mm-hmm. But in the same thing, it's like, how do you make that, what we just saw in Superman, part of what we just saw in the Penguin? And I'm sure you can do that, but I don't know how. And then I guess the major, and at first my first thing was like, why is Matt Reeves pushing back on it? What is, why would he care if he's still allowed to make the movies he wants to? But I say, well, that's the point. He might not be able to make the movies that he wants to. It's probably like, hey, we have the Brave and the Bold we announced. Let's not do Batman 3. Let's do Brave and the Bold instead, and we'll have Robert Pattinson. He's like, I don't want to do that. So that's possible. Yeah. So how do you feel about this report in general?
I just, look, again, I've given Gunn kind of carte blanche to do what he feels is right here. But I think at a certain point, I was the one that said I don't like the idea of Clayface trying to be brought into Matt Reeves. I don't think it makes sense based off of what you've kind of set up here. So I kind of fall in that same camp with Matt Reeves where I'm like, nah, let's not. Like, if you want to do, again, a crossover later, I really hope we're very far away from multiversal stuff with DC at this particular juncture.
No. Yeah.
Like the only one that I would say you might get early on is because if Ultraman truly is, if that's who Superman is fighting in this movie, that means we've already crossed Earths, period. Like, that's the Ultraman exists it is an alternate Earth evil version of him.
Yeah, I think
so. If that's true,
Marvel's exhausted it though. It's exhausted.
No, I understand that, which is why we almost need to just give it a rest for a minute. But I do not think that Pattinson should do that as long as we're in the middle of telling this Matt Reeves story. I just don't think it's a good idea, and it's not because he's not a good actor. I have fully admitted now that he was the fantastic choice for Batman.
Yeah.
I am in this space now, especially now having seen the teaser trailer, so we've got the tone here. Unless you're going to go a hardcore 180 flip on the supernatural in the Matt Reeves verse, I just don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah, Coy, for me, the only reason that there's two reasons I put merit to this, because like I said before, if Snyder's hearing it, I give Snyder credit because he vets what he's reporting on. So whether or not he heard this and it's true, I give that the benefit of the doubt. But I'm more so because of what I heard Gunn say on the Josh Horowitz show. He's like, did I consider it? Yeah, I considered everything, Josh, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean I was heavily considering it. It means I consider everything. I try to do it. So, but I could see a conversation where he's like, okay, look, people really liking that Penguin series. People really like this kid as Batman. Why don't we just make everything one thing? I can see that conversation happening. But where do you stand on this?
I personally,
Yes.
and this is just coming from my experience of what the DCU has been pitched as far as the universes aren't all one thing. He is
Right.
over and over again. I think the one thing James Gunn has made clear is that he wants to hire creatives that have their own vision and make something that doesn't feel like it's part of, you got to see this to see this to see this. He's made it very clear that he wants everything to be its own form of entertainment, and I think that would be the exact opposite if you co-opt someone else's own form. So I personally not to disparage Roca or Snyder in the article, but the article sounds very much like them just spitballing more than it sounds like we think blank. And then on top of that, what he said on Horowitz's show was, of course I consider everything,
Right.
is way more flippant than it is. And then I thought about it. It literally was like, well, I sat down and went, is that a possibility? Of course it's a possibility.
Right.
To me, it feels like the opposite of what they're doing. To me, it feels like the opposite of let's have a lot of different flavors and feels if you kind of force everything into one parallel. So I don't personally think this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Matt Reeves' universe is doing amazingly without it having to play the equalizer of tone. And I personally don't want a Batman to go from dark, gritty year 2 to grizzled Damian Wayne father in one movie. It doesn't really work narratively. Damian Wayne is such a legacy thing. And you undermine the opportunity to do more supernatural characters, or you undermine the groundedness.
Right.
Either way, you're kind of losing, as opposed to what if we print Bat money twice, like the Joker in the first Batman
Right.
in the Parade? That's the opportunity.
See, Coy, you tapped onto something right there. See, my fat ass, because we're in the holiday season, just really went straight to food. And what you're essentially describing right now is I would much rather, thank you. I would much rather have a restaurant row and be like, today I want some steak, tomorrow I want some sushi, than to this is not a knock on Cheesecake Factory, but be like, put everything on the same menu in the same kitchen. I would much rather separate those meals out and be like, Monday I'm going here, Tuesday I'm going there, Wednesday I'm going there, than to try and force feed myself everything at once. I just don't think that is a good plan, especially if you are building out.
Agreed. Look, there's like I said, there's this part of me that I want it all to be a thing, but I also don't disagree with, hey, take a shot with something else also and see what you can make out of it. So I don't know, and I think we're far away from even getting an answer from any of this. You don't have to jump into it, so we'll see. But I do ask the audience, what do you guys think? You think this is something that should happen, should not happen? I know some people are pretty vocal about it. Put your thoughts in there. Let me know. All right, we're going to get to that portion of the show where it's the questions. But before we do it, I got to tell you guys that this episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. Now, BetterHelp has been a sponsor of the show for a long time. And I've talked about how, well, we talk about with Roxy and how much it has helped her out in general. And I talk about how during the holidays, there's a lot of different things that can make you happy, can make you cozy. And that could be a whole lot of things. It could be being with family. It could be you want to stay cozy. You can wrap yourself up in a blanket. You have some hot chocolate. You can mute your computer. You can do whatever you want. You can also therapy. And therapy is a great way to bring yourself some comfort that never goes away, even when the season changes. And it's so great. And I'll tell you, I've watched people benefit from BetterHelp. I've seen it, both in my family, my good friend Roxy Stryer. It is great, and it is a good way to start therapy if you've been thinking about it, and that is give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient. It's flexible. It's suited to your schedule. You fill out a brief questionnaire. You get matched with a licensed therapist. You switch therapists at any time. No additional charge. So find comfort this December with BetterHelp. You go to betterhelp.com/bigthing and get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/bigthing. You guys know I love talking about JOYMODE. Everybody loves JOYMODE. Exactly. All my co-hosts get so excited every time I tell them that it is time to talk about JOYMODE again. And JOYMODE,
hey baby, we got JOYMODE on Capes and Cowls again.
Exactly. People get so excited, and you talk about an easy holiday gift. That's it. It is the best, and you say goodbye to weak erections, ladies and gentlemen, with JOYMODE's Sexual Performance Booster. It's an all-natural supplement. It's designed to enhance your blood flow. It helps you out. It gives you the firmer, more reliable stuff going on down there in the junk. That's right. But JOYMODE, it's not just about better sex, and that's the whole thing. It is like a pre-workout supplement. It's the best. Excuse me. Daily use supports healthier blood vessels. It boosts heart health, and it enhances your athletic performance. Expertly formulated and backed by science, it's proven to improve erectile function by 50% in just 60 days. It's pretty great. Simply, you mix a pack of water, feel the effects within 45 minutes, take control with JOYMODE, get a boost anytime, anywhere. Never miss a beat. So, if you want to take your game to the next level, you go to tryjoymode.com, use that code BIGTHING, and get 20% off. TRYJOYMODE.com. Use that code BIGTHING for 20% off your first order. If you go into the description, you'll see all of our sponsors there. You want to help the show out, you want to help yourself out, get yourself something wonderful today, get a good holiday gift. There you go. All right, as we are going to move into the questions now, the guys have so much going on. Both Coy and Winston. Coy, you got your channel right now, and Coy and I have a friendly competition that we're going right now. And right now, with all the drones, I have an unfair advantage, and we're almost at 40,000 on the UAP news channel. But Coy's right behind us. And Coy, what's going on in your channel?
I hit 39.5.
Oh, man.
Real close, man. I'm moving.
You are.
I am doing every episode of What If next week. I'm doing the finale of Dune Prophecy this Sunday. I'm doing A Complete Unknown this Saturday. Today, I'm dropping a video about my conversations with each of the Superman actors. So it's not interview, it's not footage of them, but it's me telling you about our conversation and comics they recommended. So it's Corn Sweat, Brosnahan, Holt, James Gunn, all of our conversations in one video that drops today. So today's that video, tomorrow's Complete Unknown, Sunday's Dune Prophecy, then starting on Saturday through New Year, What If each and every episode, and my favorite albums of the year, my favorite TV shows of the year, my favorite movies of the year, all dropping. I got like 15 videos in the next week and a half, which is why I look like this. But yeah, I'm almost at 40K. I want to hit 40K by the end of the year, and I'm trying for 100K next year. I'm coming at Kristian's. But that said, I've actually been following some of this drone stuff. So
that's right.
It is counter-programming to my goals, but programming for me. So check his channel out because I've been watching it.
Of course.
But also someone is working on my gutters, which is such funny timing. So that sound you heard is out of my control. But yeah, and I will always say this when I have my time to plug me, Winston has the superior tech editing talent behind all of the things to make it shiny and glorious, and everyone should be over there. If I'm gonna hit 40K, get that man there too.
Yeah, we got to get him a new computer first. But go ahead, Winston.
that's the look. Give me just like a day off to go and handle that, and it'll be. But honestly, should be here after Christmas, so that's nice. But come and find me at youtube.com/theswaggyblurred. You can follow me on all the platforms that way in particular. Yesterday was a very busy day. Got a new Blurred breakdown out, got the Superman trailer, got the Sonic 3 out of the theater reaction. I'll do a review on that, and then I've got to do my end of the year content as well. And then I'm excited. The new year is going to be a lot more structured. We just crossed over. I'm moving at a much slower pace than the gentleman, but I just crossed over 4,000, which is awesome. If we can somehow in a week get to 5,000, because my goal at the bare minimum for this quarter was to get to 5,000. That would be huge. So if y'all ain't subscribed already, come over and do that. That would be super dope. But yeah, got a lot of dope stuff coming out. And I'm really excited about a particular piece of content that will be happening as we get to the beginning of 2025 and all this superhero content. I will share with you when I am allowed to.
I love that. Well, yeah, check out the guys for sure. And then congratulations to all of us for building out this show, the things that we've done. We just crossed 170 on this channel, so thank you guys. And we're trying to, the goal is to hit to 200 in 2025. So, all right, let's get to these questions, guys. You starting off, this is big. You guys got a good start here going into the question section. 57 questions so far before we even answered just a one. Now, this isn't a super chat, but I think that it is a very well thought out comment that I think that we all need to be aware of, and that is David Giordo, who writes farts. Thank you. Thank you. Perfect.
Wow, I never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Day Napper. At work, so I'm blindly sending some love. Imagine crypto will be a Luthor core experiment that Superman saved. Well, but that would go, wouldn't that go against, isn't he from Krypton?
Yeah, I would go against the canon a little bit. I do think LexCorp, Luthor Core gets into some stuff, but I think Crypto is going to be from another planet.
I think that's potentially not even Ultraman. I think that might be like a Luthor Bizarro, because again, if you have the idea of I am trying to, I hate Superman, I hate him, that maybe he like tried to make his own, and just not in the weird way that we got Doomsday, which seemed a little out of place in my opinion in Batman v Superman. That would be my guess if we're going to go that route.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. The next one here is Joe Reeder. Thinking of Schnepp today. What a comeback for DC. Remember when it was bad and he called the studio the DCFU? The F. That is such a Schnepp-ism. I could totally see that. Yeah, I think he'd be very happy right now. I think he'd be very happy with the way that things are going and where the direction that it's pushing in. So, yeah, I do. Although I think he'd be bummed about Henry Cavill. I know him and Henry loved Schnepp. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've seen some clips and it always warms my heart. The fact that he was aware and vice versa of each other's nerdery.
He was a fan. He was a fan of Schnepp. He used to watch Schnepp. Yeah.
Sounds like he was more of a fan of Schnepp than he was of me.
Oh, he didn't like you?
Well, he didn't dislike me, but there's a famous meme of me and Cavill that goes around like once every 18 months where someone goes, "Hey, yo, would you do?" And like it's me wearing a Batman shirt and him going, "I see it's laundry day." And I'm just like, oh shit. So like, and then that's when I told him I don't like Superman, and we actually had a really interesting discussion.
Yeah. All right. Next one is Ewok. Do you think that Guy Gardner's look will change? God, I hope so. He looked goofy to me, even by Guy Gardner standards. Think he'll show up in Lanterns looking like that? That was what I thought of. Like, he can look like that in the Superman movie and get away with it. If you're going for a true detective kind of feel, and that goofy Dutch boy shows up, he looked ridiculous. He looked ridiculous.
It's right up the alley of what Guy looks like, and if they're going really for as accurate. But there's obviously been other renditions of him, but specifically when they cast Nathan Fillion, I wasn't sure if they were going to go with the bowl cut, but I knew the particular personality that they were going to use from Fillion to make Guy, and that aligns kind of perfectly. So I am curious to see. Because the someone, was it you that suggested this, Coy, that maybe Guy is the one that's killed and like that's the what they're trying to solve? Somebody suggested that might be what they're going to consider.
It wasn't me, but I like the idea of like, a fallen lantern being what the true detective mystery is. It's not my idea, but it's a good one. I also think that the punchable face is integral to introduce a lantern in a different way. Yeah. So I agree with Kristian. Like, it works in this vibrancy, but how that translates in other, mediums, we'll see.
Especially if they're going for a true detective feel. Day Napper. Hey, Coy, are there some Christmas related comics to check out? What do you think a DCU Christmas movie would look like?
There are so many. Every year, DC puts out a Christmas medley of comics. There's a DC anthology comic that came out like 2 weeks ago that's fantastic, and it's got no continuity tied to it. You could just read it. Also, Marvel put out a what's it called? It's a play on like Tales to Astonish, like a holiday Tales to Astonish last week. So there's a lot of really fun in shops right now comics from both the big two. And every year DC does a lot of Christmas, and a lot of years Marvel does. And there's a great Batman movie that came out last year that is Batman and Damian Wayne Christmas special. That's feature length, and it's not tied to canon. That's a blast. So there is already kind of that, and I highly recommend it.
Ben Davis. Hey, all, I'm so over people using Snyder's DC stuff to either uplift this movie or punch it down. Yeah, I think it does get a little exhausting, right? It's like, look, there are some really great things that came out of there too, and there's some things that didn't work. And it's like, okay, look, there's things that in the past you just let it go. And something that was brought up yesterday, Winston, I was curious what you would think about this, that I said that would be great and a good way to, as they say in Braveheart, which you still haven't watched, Winston, unite the clans, you know? And I think bringing in Snyder to direct a DCU movie would be an interesting choice. What do you think about that?
I mean, I don't hate the idea at all. It depends on if he is, willing to play ball and everything like that. And I also think, again, I hope we're a long ways away from true multiversal stuff going on, but I don't hate the idea if, down the line, we do get to see what these true universes look like and not whatever the mess was in the Flash within the Speed Force, but like that we genuinely get to see what does, if we get a crisis event, like what does Cavill's Superman across from the Superman and Lois Superman across from Corn Sweat, like what are they all doing? And then you bring in Pattinson's Reeves Batman with Nolan if he's still if him and Bale want to do, you know what I'm saying? Like we'll get there, but I just don't know if don't do that right now. Do not bring Snyder in right now, honestly.
So not right now, but you could potentially do it, and who knows if it'll work or not. But let's see, Day Napper, this is, what are your two most anticipated movies for 2025? And out of those two, which one would you rather get spoiled? That's a good question. I would say Superman's up there for sure. And then right now, I have to look at the list again, but the first one that pops to mind is Avatar, the third one. So I would say Avatar's probably the one that I could get spoiled, because it's like, oh, you're still going to see all these cool and crazy visual things. And Superman, I don't want to know really anything about at all. So
for me, it's Superman and then The Accountant 2.
Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I knew it.
I'm so excited for The Accountant 2, dude. I would not want either to be spoiled. I think I'd be less upset at The Accountant 2 being spoiled, because it'd be like, how does Ben Affleck do his accounting best? But like Superman, there's stuff I don't want to know. It's actually one of my only concerns is, since we started the press melee 8 months early, is just how much I will know about Superman. But James Gunn has been really good at cutting trailers for like Guardians 3 to keep you invested and to keep you surprised. So I'm less worried about this 8-month press than I would be normally, but I'm also very aware that I don't want anything spoiled in that movie. So The Accountant 2 out of default.
Real quick before we move on to the next thing, and Winston, if you had two that you just throw in there in a second, but before we do, I want to address, I saw Anora last night. I finally watched it.
So good, man.
It's so good. It's hilarious, by the way.
It's so funny.
I like dark humor. I had some guy on Twitter who probably didn't even see the movie, said, what did he say? Like, the whole point is that it has hilarious moments. That's the whole point of what I wrote. I said, Anora, and I was in the middle of watching it. I wrote, Anora is hilarious. And he writes, instead of writing that has hilarious moments, but he says, saying this movie is hilarious is such a perfect illustration of how much you missed the point of the movie. Well done. No, dirt ass. What I'm saying about the movie itself is that there were some hilarious moments throughout it. The ending is pretty tragic, to be completely honest with you. It's just kind of, it's sad, right? But the movie as a whole is hilarious. It's hilarious. I was laughing throughout the whole thing. So like, yeah, I stand by the fact that it's hilarious. The ending, if I'm laughing at the ending, no, but that movie is hilarious. So, sir, eat it. It's a funny movie. So I'm sorry. He might have just seen a different movie and maybe commented on the wrong person. Maybe he was drunk and commenting on somebody else's thing. I don't know. But Winston, go ahead. You were saying?
It's probably Sinners and this Keke Palmer SZA movie, One of Those Days, which is supposed to essentially be almost like a new generation Friday. And which one would I prefer to have spoiled? Really, neither one. Spoil Superman for me. Like, it's fine. Like, I don't want you to spoil Superman, but like I can live with spoiling a superhero movie than one of those two.
Day Napper, who are you most interested in seeing? Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom kill? Imagine him killing a Stark variant, or whoever Chris Evans will play. I don't know yet, because I don't know exactly what they're doing. I still like the idea better of Hydra Cap than I do the other other character they were going to have him play, because then it's like everybody else is playing different characters now. It's like it's interesting to have Downey do it, but he's doing it. Evans is doing it. They're gonna have they're gonna have Chris Hemsworth do it next. It's like, just have him play Hydra Cat. That'll work. But I don't know. What do you guys think?
Between the two of them, go ahead, Coy, if you have one.
I think it's I don't know if it's the answer they're looking for, but I don't love the Downey Doom thing enough that I'm more excited to be proven wrong about that. Like, I want to be proven wrong. I would like to enjoy it, but as of now, I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm more excited to be proven wrong about Downey, I guess.
I'd probably go Downey Doom just because that is probably one of the characters that I am most excited about in 2025 is Doom. So just by the nature of, I'm just going to have to lean into, I hope they know what they're doing. Robert Downey Jr. is a good actor. I'm more excited about that.
All right, next one, and that is Day Napper. Also, at this point, it'll be more surprising if Scarlett Johansson doesn't come back for Avengers. I think she probably will. They're gonna
think she comes back as like Viper.
Another thing, I don't know what to make of this movie yet. I really don't. I'm not sure. Let's just Day Napper has a couple more. He said, "You got any special requests for the DCU? I want the characters to not take their masks off every time they need to talk. I get it. Actors must be seen. Just let it mean more when it happens." It's a good point. The things for me, it's like I want them to do what they are doing so far. It's like they just announced that Clayface is going to be a smaller budget movie. I want to do a big budget movie. I want to do small budget movies. I want to, like, not everything needs to be 150 to $200 million. But
yeah,
pixelated.
If they're doing
what do you have to say?
If they're doing
I've
a
never
small
been
budget,
the one with technology before. This is such a different last.
This is you've lived. There can only be one Highlander. You've sucked all the technology out of my computer. Now it's fully gone to crap.
So John Cena, go ahead.
You can't see me, bitch. That was the funniest shit you said in all of 2024.
Thanks, man.
If they're doing a low budget Clayface, I'm here for that. Hit me with some body horror, like full on body horror. Then if we're doing that could be cool.
What do you think, Coy?
I think my request for DCU is my hope for the DCU. I don't remember which word he used. Is I really want them to not make everything so connected that it feels like it's homework, because I feel like that's intimidating to a lot of people. I think we're describing this doomsday thing as like, you gotta see this, you gotta watch this, and I love that. For 10 years that was like the excitement of it, but now it feels like it's kind of getting crushed under its own weight. So I think learning from that, so you don't have things like Downey Doom as like, how's that going to work out? I think that's what I want. I want to feel like when I go to the comic store, I don't have to read everything in front of me. I can pick. And I think that's kind of like what Winston was saying with Cheesecake Factory. I want to be able to enjoy my meal without having the whole journey there. I like both, and I'm glad both exist, but I want them to stay different.
All right. Day Napper also says, okay, that's it. I'll see you guys after work, and have yourself a Merry Christmas. Stay awesome. Thank you for all the support, Day Napper.
Thank you, Day Napper.
And because of that, you guys are ready at 66, getting close
y'all.
To beat Mike. I think you need 126, I think is what Mike has. Is that what I said? I think so. I'll double check.
So we need 60 more. Come
We're
on, y'all.
over halfway. Bring those
halfway.
Superman questions.
Hunter Vance. Based off the trailer, I think Krypto hasn't quite figured out how to fly yet, but that will be in his arc. He'll do so when Clark needs him to the most. Yeah, if they build up and they're really going to do a trilogy, and I think eventually you'll see him. I don't think you're going to see him do that in the first movie. What do you guys think?
I mean, I could see that if that's the thing. He's been trying to train Krypto to do it, and he just won't do it, and that's why he calls him in a desperate moment to be like, "Come on, boy, you can do this and get me home." I could see that potentially.
He's also said that, he's not, always a good boy. Like, he's a dog that needs training. And I love the idea of a rapscallion puppy, but that has superpowers. So it'd be cool to see him evolve through training, like, learn skills and things. And I think that's coming.
All right. Coy, I want you to answer this as 2019 Coy, not 2024 Coy. Choose only one, Superman or Fantastic Four next year. Winston?
Go ahead, Winston.
Am I supposed to be 2019 Winston?
No, because you don't work for DC.
Oh, okay. I got you. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Superman. And mainly just because I've said this
crazy
before.
Because you don't like Superman normally.
And I don't really like the Fantastic Four. I don't dislike the Fantastic Four, but like I've never been that interested in them. I'm more interested in like stories that come out of it. But as like
Is
a
there
team,
possible,
I
though,
care.
if you like the Fantastic Four trailer, that answer could change, or no?
It's possible.
Or probably no. But all right, Coy, what about you?
I 2019 and 2024 Coy, I made sure I checked with my past self.
Yes.
I'm gonna go Superman because it's a version of the character I've always wanted to see. It's the way I read the comic. It's the way I feel about the comic. And I didn't grow up on the Christopher Reeve Superman. I grew up on Superman comics, so I didn't have that Superman growing up. And I think this would have been that for me. So I still think 2019 Coy Superman, just because I've wanted to have a platform and a place and a way to talk about DC for 15 years. And I think this would give me that. So I think Superman.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer for me. Superman all day long. It's been my favorite for a very long time. Superman since I was a kid. My dad taking me to see movies. Superman all day long. Go Pal. Support. Today is my last day at work until the new year. That's awesome, Go Pal.
Enjoy that vacation.
Sure, please do. You deserve it. Joe Hendo TV. I don't see it cracking $1 billion. There's no Superman film that has made $1 billion. I mean, that's true. That is true. But like, to be fair, movies didn't really start cracking $1 billion until, like the late 2000 teens, whatever it was. So yeah, so you at that point you really only had Man of Steel, who had an opportunity to do it, and it got close-ish. So you really not had a chance. I mean, unless you're also looking at Batman v Superman. So that I wouldn't use that metric as something to compare it to.
I think adjusted for inflation, the 78 is at like 1.28. Like it's over 1 billion if you adjust for inflation.
Interesting. That's a good point. Go Pal. Looks like I'm the lucky 13th super chatter for the Tolkien Taylor Swift reference. Who did that? Is that you, Winston? Did you do that before?
Wait, did what before?
Someone make a Tolkien Taylor Swift reference?
Not really, but Taylor Swift's lucky number is 13.
Oh,
and
okay.
I don't know about Tolkien because I don't follow that enough. Okay. But maybe 13. Oh, is that the Fellowship's 13? Isn't it?
Oh, okay. I guess I don't remember. Hashy B.
I don't remember how. I thought you were a big Lord of the Rings guy.
Yeah, I like it. I don't remember facts. Hashy B. What?
He made the Schmodown. He didn't play the Schmodown.
I did actually.
Let's wait till Cushing when you need her.
But like not by the time it was like, what's the 17th page? 5 words in.
No, when people really started, I got lucky. Beat Dan Merle, retired. I
beat Kalinowski. Should have retired.
Yeah, got my head kicked in by Sam Levine. So that's it for me. Hashy B. What color will Crypto's dog's shit be? Obviously, the choice is green. But what say you? Happy Friday, guys. No, green would mean he's eating poison.
Well, I was gonna say, what would be really, really funny is somebody making a sketch of him trying to train Crypto, and Crypto is somehow shitting kryptonite, and he's like, the one thing I can't do is pick up my dog's poop. I guess we're just gonna walk home. Just leave it on the sidewalk.
Yeah,
that's how Angelinos treat their dogs, like it's kryptonite. They
it's
just
annoying
leave it everywhere.
as hell.
No, what's annoying as hell is my wife knows that I'm on the air every day at 1, and without fail, she texts me or calls me every show. Every show. I can tell her every day that I'm on the air, and she will always call or text me.
I gotta believe she's using the send later feature now and just doing it intentionally.
No, she needs some. There's important shit she needs to talk to me about, but I just can't do it right now. Roman Fedorak. Hey all, hope the day treats you well. Always grateful to be here. Rewatching Soup's teaser trailer sold me on Crypto, the goodest of super doggies. Yeah, I mean it was a cool moment. You know what's hilarious is that I tried to show, like, back when my oldest now is 13. Tried to show her the Superman trailer as I might as well have been trying to show her arithmetic. She wanted nothing to do with it, right? So she's like, I don't want it. Superman's boring. I don't want to watch Superman. My 13. I'm like, all right. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna show my little one. And after the trailer was over, I go, Maisie, what do you think? You want to see it? And she goes like this. She goes, and I go, what? She goes like, I just like the dog. I go, that's fair.
That is the most Maisie response possible, bro.
It was hilarious. Roman Fedorak. Hey, all. Hope the day treats you well. Always grateful to be here. Oh, we did that already. Sorry. Next one is from Joe Hendo TV. Who's your favorite Superman actor outside of Christopher Reeve? For me, it's a tie between Henry Cavill in the Snyderverse trilogy and Tyler Hoechlin on Superman Lois. I don't watch Superman and Lois, but I hear nothing but great things about him. And if we're not doing animated also, just doing live action, then yeah, Henry Cavill is a clear-cut winner for me. But I'll tell you, man, this David Cornsweet, like, I've never really seen him in anything besides Twisters. And the second you see him in that trailer, like, oh, yeah, that's Superman. You just know it right away.
Grillo was onto something. Your interview,
Yeah.
he really gushed about him, and I the funny thing is, I heard his voice in my head while I was watching Corn Sweat, especially as Clark in the crowd, where he's taller than everybody, and yet somehow nobody sees him, and he's just bumbling around. I was like, damn, Grillo was spot on with that.
Right, Coy.
I want to give Corn Sweat slight praise real quick. We were talking at the event, and he was talking about his brother is like 280 pounds and 6'8". So he was embodying his brother in a lot of ways as being larger than life. And I was like, bro, you're like 6'5". You're also, but like to him, like his brother is that Tim Sale Superman. And while he was talking, I accidentally bumped into someone behind him, and like that space and taking up too much space, he was like, oh, I'm so sorry. And I was like, I'm watching Clark Kent at the Daily Planet. And then like he comes back into like being an actor and movie star, and I got to see that transition. It was so special. But yeah, he's Superman. To me, I grew up on Smallville. Tom Welling is hugely Superman to me. And it was really cool seeing the cast of this movie talk about Smallville, because a lot of people talk about the Christopher Reeve movie, but a lot of these actors were saying Smallville is pretty formative to them. So I've not seen Tyler Hoechlin's take, but Tom Welling was pretty formative to how I saw Superman, and still is.
Tyler, Tyler would be my answer, just from the, I haven't watched Superman and Lois, but I saw all the crossovers where they were introducing him in the Arrowverse, and he's fantastic. So
Okay, B. Gill Studios. You got to check out this new superhero comic universe called the Rippaverse. It's roughly 2 years old and was founded by fellow YouTuber Eric July. I don't know anything about it. Do you? I don't know anything about that one, but all right. Thank you for the recommendation. Roman Fedorak.
write that down.
Yeah, Winston and Coy. Any hot takes on the 2024 films? Already said it, but I found Furiosa just a bit overrated. Soups is #1 anticipated for next year. Thanks. Any hot takes on 2024 films?
2024.
Yeah, yes, he's yesterday. Winston, do this though right now. Perfect. I hate that computer so much.
You hate it. You hate it, you son of a bitch.
Go ahead. Good, Coy.
Hot take is, I don't know. Like, I think Dune 2 is the best movie of the year, but I don't feel like that's a hot take. But I feel like some people are hating it now because it's been out long enough that it's gotten into its hate cycle. Like, after a movie's been out for long enough, people decide it's not good anymore. I loved Furiosa. I disagree there. I need a second. Hold on. Let me look up movies this year.
You think about it.
Let's go to the next question while I think about it.
Okay. So this is the next one from Owen Lanning. I wasn't sure about Superman making a ton of money. I just wanted it to be good. However, I showed my 7-year-old daughter the trailer. She does not like superheroes. She wanted to see Superman today. Crypto was a genius move. Yeah, I mean, look, even though my daughter gave it a thumbs down, first thing she said was, I like the dog, right? So that's why they put Crypto in there, for sure, because it's going to get kids in there. Although, I honestly think because my daughter was just like the wheezing and the blood coming out of his mouth. It's a tough image to look at. And I don't think she loved that.
Hot take. Roadhouse is the most slept on movie of 2024.
That is a hot take.
Definitely a hot take.
One of my favorite new contributors we've had here recently. I don't know if you guys know this name yet, but you should. It's a great username. Joe for show. Do you think we'll ever see a Ready Player 2? I love the first movie and the books are amazing. Thanks for the great vibes. Other shows feel like they just talk crap to the viewers and criticize them. Well, I hope that's not the case for people. That's not that. I've always liked to try to include everybody on stuff, and you guys are. I mean, and I say this. Hopefully, you guys understand that I'm coming from the heart from this. Is that without you guys, there is no show. And I mean, we have 126 new members recently, and that's because you guys are supporting the show and supporting the channel. We had a really good week of the live stream numbers have been going up. It's because you guys are here and we're having a good conversation, and I'm glad to hear that you think it's a good vibe. So thank you. As far as Ready Player 2, no, I don't think we'll ever see it. I think that the first movie wasn't as big of a hit as they wanted to, so I don't think we'll see it. Coy?
I think it's been a little too long.
Yeah.
I feel like if it was a bigger movie and there was a surge, then yes. But I feel like it was it was not quite the size of a movie that could wait the decade that it would be. Like, it's not Avatar, but I think if it had come out like 3 years ago, it could have been, the two of them paired might have been something, but I don't think we're getting it.
Omar Mir. This show is a successor to Heroes for me and has filled a void I didn't know was there. This is the best show on YouTube. Love Roka, but I want to see my boys win. Well, Roka's not even in second place. Roka's in fourth place right now. It's Kalinowski, Kalinowski, Roxy, the guys right now. Oh no, that's not true. That's not true. Roka's in third place right now, and then the guys because Roka's at 100, so they can at least beat Roka, maybe. Let's see. Matt Thomas, Isabella Merced's introduction. No notes, Clay's own. I don't know. I don't understand that.
Cleveland's
Oh.
So she's from Cleveland, and there's apparently the bill. I don't know Cleveland. No disrespect to Cleveland, I just don't know it.
Yeah.
But apparently, the building she flies by is like a really iconic Cleveland building. So it was like a big moment for a Cleveland native to get that Cleveland iconography, which I dig. And she looks great as Hawkgirl.
I love how excited Matt Thomas has been about this because he's from Cleveland. He takes a lot of pictures and stuff from it. He's been super excited about it, and I really respect how like hometown driven he is. So I love that he gets excited for this stuff.
Absolutely, especially knowing that so much classic Superman iconography is Cleveland.
Well, didn't the guy who created it was from Cleveland, wasn't he?
I believe so.
Yeah.
And Metropolis is very much that parallel. So I'm excited for Matt Thomas.
Yeah, me too. Bam 86. The DCU Batman should be like Batman the animated series. Reeves' Batman is all fixated on being grounded. That is the biggest argument, is that how are you going to make it seem, and it's probably Reeves' argument of why not to go into the DCU. So it's understood.
Every month I read like 10 new Batman comics, and Detective Comics and Batman are two books that have run side by side for decades. We can have both. And I agree, Batman the Animated Series is a flavor. So let's keep this one over here.
Scott Horowitz, Superman trailer looks awesome, but so did Star Wars Episode 1. What trailer did you love so much where the movie disappointed you after seeing it? Oh, there's been
second Matrix, which I still love the second Matrix, but like we were humming, and then we hit the Architect, and I was like, "What just happened?" And like I appreciate it now that I'm older, but it still took the wind out of the sails of that movie for me.
There's a mob movie that Ryan Gosling.
Did I freeze? Can you hear me, Coy?
Yeah,
I can hear you.
Yeah, you didn't. Nobody.
I can hear everyone,
and you're not frozen on our end either.
Oh, it's just me. So this shitty ass computer is taking a new turn.
You
froze your own thing, and you're clear as day for us too. So whatever that's happening, so just
this is the best you've.
It's the best you looked the whole show. So let it freeze. Let it freeze.
Gangster Squad. Thank you, Live. Yeah, that movie's rough.
It is horrible. And Ellis and I, for the next 10 years after we saw it, because we thought it was going to be so good, because look at that cast. And 10 years later, we were still, and we still say it to this day. Here comes Santa Claus. It's the only stupid thing I remember from that movie was that. It's terrible.
Green Lantern. I didn't think it was going to be that bad. I thought it was actually going to be a decent movie.
The Comic-Con trailer was good.
It's a good pull.
Yeah, it was a good one. Hey, Pierre, what's up, man? Pierre E. Jordy. Box office for Superman hinges on success or the failure of Captain America and Thunderbolts. Rising tide lifts all ships. If those two bomb, the tide will be low. I don't agree with that. I think Captain America, Thunderbolts. I think that it could potentially, if Captain America doesn't do well, and Thunderbolts does, I mean, then there's really no argument on it, obviously. And I know that's not what you're saying, Pierre, but like if it has, the problem is though, is I think it's what Winston was saying. If a good movie's a good movie, people are going to see it. Now, I won't disagree that it doesn't mean that it adds to the another comic book movie. It's just Superman. Superman has a much bigger name and recognizable to the everyday person than Captain America, the new Captain America and Thunderbolts does. So I don't necessarily agree with that, but Winston, what do you say?
I'm on the same page with you. There is something to what you're saying to the person that wrote in about a rising tide lifting all boats, etc. But this has already become a pop culture like cornerstone, because just like all of us were saying, and all of you seem to be agreeing, the numbers we've put out for the reactions for Captain America, for Thunderbolts have been kind of nothing. The world is already talking about Superman that have maybe been disconnected from superheroes for a minute now. So
yeah, it's not.
I think it's a very different conversation. I also think Captain America was never as big as Superman. So it's a different bar that's been set.
Now, I won't disagree with him on this audience, the people who are paying attention to these things that are like, oh, another comic book movie. I'm just kind of over it now. I just went and saw these two things. They're not good. Why is Superman going to be any different? But I don't think the casual fan is going to affect at all. Anthony.
I do think the other way, though, if Cap is great, Superman is great, Thunderbolts is great. Like if next year is everything, or maybe all but one is amazing. We're going to be
it could revitalize
every TikToker. Yeah, every TikToker is going to be saying we're back every 2 weeks.
It could revitalize.
If TikTok still exists,
that's true.
We can dream, Winston. We can dream.
Anthony Robal. Hey guys, hope all is well. Do you think if Superman is a big hit, it is going to affect the Fantastic Four box office numbers? And thank God Roca didn't win this week. Oh, poor Roca.
Roca.
So I think as far as Fantastic Four goes, I mean, it could look if it is an incredible movie that because how many times we've been part of a conversation where like, oh, really? That movie's good? I didn't really have expectations. It's really good. All right, I'll go see it. You hear that a lot. If Superman's like that, it could definitely take a chunk out of Fantastic Four, but the same could be said of what you guys just said before. If it's awesome and people are like, oh, I'm hyped to go back to the movies, and I hear Fantastic Four is awesome too. And they have the Downey aspect in that. People are going to be wanting to see the debut of Dr. Doom in that. So yeah, I think they both do pretty well, and they may affect each other negatively or positively.
Plus, I mean, we like Winston said earlier, Barbenheimer, what are the people that see everything called in comic books? Super fans.
Right.
And that's this one's name.
Yeah.
Super fans.
Right.
Yeah.
So July is for the super fan, and I want that.
Yeah.
The last thing is, I think people love using the word variable a lot when they talk about stuff like that. And I think the thing that people don't understand about variables sometimes is you don't know how many are in the equation yet. So you can't tell. So if everything leading up to Fantastic Four is it looks like crap, but then it ends up being good, that affects things one way versus if this teaser trailer had been bad. Like, I'm not saying everything rides on every single step of Superman, but the more things are set up, the better you are to go. So That's all.
All right, next one. Christian Medard. Sonic 3 is better than Mufasa. Sonic makes you feel good by the end, just like the Superman suit doesn't have... Wait, hold on a second. Sonic 3 is better than Mufasa. Sonic makes you feel good by the end. I like how Superman suit doesn't have a six-pack, just looks normal. That's just okay. So I agree with him that Sonic 3 is much better movie than Mufasa. Much better.
Sonic 3 is great.
Yeah.
Sonic 3 is great.
I had some issues with Act 1, but once we got rolling, it was great.
It was great. I enjoyed it a lot. But yeah, and Mufasa is I think that if you don't have kids, going to be a tough sell for people to go see that movie. Armada. Hey, big shot over here with the DC job. That's from the Andrew Dice Clay Instagram thing, which is absolutely the best. Did you buy that or they give that to you, Coy?
They gave it to me. It's pretty great.
Nice Christmas gift. Thanks.
Chillin'.
Yeah, Levi. Morning, fellas. Hey, Coy, list 3 Superman titles that I should read before the film's release. Winston, thoughts on Snoop's Missionary album? Christian, bring back Big Balls. Merry Christmas, guys, and stay safe. Spring Balls is coming back. I got to get on the phone with Brett. I'm going to try to do that today and set up the Roadcaster. And then, yesterday somebody, and it was a nice comment, so I didn't say anything about it except someone's like, "Oh, the sound levels on Christian's are so much different than his guests." Yeah, I freaking know. I know, and I'm going to set up the new one. Hopefully, I'm going to try to do it today. So hopefully, we get this fixed and Big Balls will come back. But Winston, thoughts on Snoop's Missionary album?
I feel like such a failure as a hip hop fan. I did not realize that it had already dropped.
Okay.
Because it dropped last Friday. So I know what I'm doing with my time this morning while I work. I will come back and find me next week and ask the question again.
And Coy.
The 3 I'd recommend are All-Star Superman. It was the advertisement for the launch of Superman. It was the art used by James Gunn, and it's very much what the visuals of the trailer look like. I highly recommend it. Grant Morrison, Frank Quitely. I would also recommend Superman for All Seasons. Tim Sale art looks a lot like Corn Sweat, has that Americana feel, big and bold. It's written by Jeff Loeb. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale teamed up on Batman The Long Halloween, which inspires most Batman film adaptations. And finally, Alan Moore's Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow is the one I hadn't thought of, and James Gunn referenced as to the tone and feel of the trailer, and I'm going to be rereading it this Christmas. So those 3.
All right, so there's the next one. Buster Barnes. Not sure Superman will hit 1 billion due to the movies around it. Fair. But if the trailers and marketing continue to look like this, they're on the right track. I mean, I could have wrote that. And I completely agree. I mean, there's a lot of movies around it that could take a little bit out of it, but it's on the right track.
I still, by the nature of a Barbenheimer existing, I think that it'll be just fine. If it's good, if they're both good, they will both hit it. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, the only pushback on that, which I think it's a valid point, Winston, the only pushback is at that time when those movies came out, those were really, there was Mission Impossible that came out like right around the same time and got nailed by those two movies. But there was nothing else really around that because the release, I think, strikes and other things kind of pushed. There wasn't a lot going on in the box office minus those two movies. There's going to be like a new movie every other week in the summer the next year.
2025 is insane.
Yeah,
I totally understand that, but I think what you're going to end up seeing is you're going to see a bigger push for the AMC A-list and all that kind of stuff when people go, oh, there's a reason to have this subscription. Look at all of these movies coming out. I want to see them all, and I genuinely think we will see the return of the box office if all of these movies are fire.
Douglas McKinney. I always root for Filoni because I knew him as a kid. I think he was overworked because of the Disney Plus mandate. Hopefully he'll get to focus more on his own stuff thanks to the new hire. Also, Coy Cast.
Douglas McKinney is a loyal fan of my podcast that I never plug, so he is out here plugging it for me.
For you.
Yeah, I got a podcast I never talk about. Check it out, Coycast, anywhere you pod your casts. I'm actually really curious what Filoni's output is going to be like with a new structure, because I like a lot of his ideas. I am curious, without as much pressure, what that looks like, just for me as a casual fan, not a diehard, what that is.
As a human being, and I've talked with him a bunch of times, I've met him a few times. He's a very nice person. He's a very nice guy. I don't like how locked in he is about the ideas of what Star Wars should be. And he can't like expand anywhere else. And there's certain things that he's not a fan of that will never see the light of day. Hopefully that changes, and hopefully he won't be as gatekeeperish. That's what I hope. John Darius. Hey guys, do you think if Superman hits $1 billion that James Gunn will direct the sequel? Yes.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that even if it doesn't make $1 billion.
What are we? Yeah.
What are you at? 94. So,
ooh, come on, y'all.
Yeah,
we can do this.
Yeah, and we're still only at the 130 question, so we got to try to. What's your heart out?
I have until 12:45.
I have until 1, so I'm fine.
All right.
Actually, I can push to 1. I just had to be somewhere at 1:30. I can drive fast.
Okay. So let's see. So Soup will make $1 billion. It's for classic fans, kids, and family. It will be well made, so word of mouth and repeat viewings could push it over $1 billion. Again, completely agree with that. Okay, so let's see. Next one here. We got tons of people and again, a lot of people in here today watching, so thank you. Tyson's Chicken Nuggets. With the crypto hype, the question I'm asking is, which dog movie is better, Turner and Hooch or K9? I don't know if I've ever seen K9. Is that the Jim Belushi one?
Yes. I'm having a travel picture on the cover. I can picture Turner and Hooch. GG.
I would say Turner and Hooch because I'm more familiar with it. Yeah, didn't they do a Turner and Hooch TV show? I thought they did.
Between those two, but I'm gonna go Homeward Bound or Beethoven.
I'm gonna go Limu, Emu, and Doug.
Okay, so none of the options the poor guy gave you. Okay, great. So unknown D. Hey guys, do you think there will be any nods or mentions to the DCU Batman in the Superman movie? Maybe something like a Gotham name drop. If they do something, it'll be something subtle like that, like naming, hey, we know that in Gotham this happened or something like that, just establishing that it's there, but no actual mention of Bruce Wayne or anything like that.
I think Wayne Tech maybe.
Yeah,
I could see a Wayne Tech drop like as a. Which also I'm curious what you thought, Coy, about what is it, Luthor Core instead of Lex Core?
I think what they're going to do is have it possibly be some like nepotism with his dad. I think Lionel might be who founded the company, and therefore it's going to be that conversation. I also think it's interesting that Stag Industries is in a shot of the film. Stag is who invented Metamorpho, and I'm really curious if it's going to be Simon Stagg's corporate espionage versus what they have with Maxwell Lord, since they're in those. Since the heroes are in like Lord wear, which basically looks like a NASCAR jacket. I feel like Wayne Tech could be involved because of all the corporate stuff that's going to be causing some of this warfare and these characters and things.
Yeah.
Film Feast. I feel like it was originally named Legacy, not only because of the story Gunn is telling, but it felt like so many nods to different Superman IPs, Reeves, Ralph, Cavill. I mean, maybe, because you did get that. I mean, that first mixture of song that they did 2 versions of it, as I mentioned. The first one was the gladiator-esque Hans Zimmer humming of the John Williams theme, and then the next one was like the banging out the Top Gun.
Yeah, that was cool.
It was awesome.
Dude, I went to the gym listening to that, and I was like, man, I'm gonna hit some PRs with this.
Yeah,
dude. This and just a brief nod to Sonic 3. I don't know how much of the lore y'all know, but like not only putting all sorts of Easter egg songs in there, but putting a new rendition of Live and Learn. My whole theater lost their collective mind when they started playing that. Oh,
there is. Buster Barnes, what are your thoughts on Metamorphos's role? Looks like he's not on the Lord Tech team and might be being held captive in Stag Industries. I dig the practical look.
I kind of what I just spoke to. I think he's going to be under duress. I think the scene in the trailer might be Superman rescuing him, and then the other heroes are trying to stop it.
You know what? If you're saying that the Lord Tech, so they're all working under Maxwell Lord and then Metamorpho, what if it's the commodification of superheroes? So like instead of going the full boys and like we've done all this, maybe Lex tries to come to Superman to be like, why don't you be my champion? And he's like, bro, I don't do that. I'm Superman.
Oh,
like,
I think that's why they're wearing like NASCAR jackets. Like it's like the commodification of like I've sponsored you. I own your likeness, appearance. So like in that vein, but Superman shows that people can be for freedom. So I agree.
Wraith X7. Superman won't hit $1 billion because Superman has been adapted several times before in live action in both TV and films. Yeah, again, I don't really think that's a money.
You mean like the live action Lion King that made $1 billion and isn't good?
Right. I don't think that's really.
I don't think adaptation has anything to do with the success of the film.
But I think his overall point was the fact that it's just been made a bunch of different times, so people are kind of over it. But I mean, so Batman has been made 1,000 times over, and the people would have thought that Batman was over and done with once Batman and Robin came out, and then Nolan reinvented it and brought Spider-Man, same thing. Yeah, Spider-Man. Yeah, right. Spider-Man, like that. Yeah, No Way Home is a perfect example. Also, and you could say because it's not No Way Home, but Homecoming and all those movies, you say because it's attached to the MCU, it had a boost. But nonetheless, it had a boost, right? So there's a way to do it. And this is attached to DCU. So I don't buy that theory that because it's been remade, it won't make money, make $1 billion. Gopal. Nick Holt will always be Tony Stoneham from Skins to me, and I'm thinking that role might be kind of a proto-Luthor. I don't know that movie. Is it a show? Skins?
It's a show. It's a British show, and it's a very young Nicholas Holt, and I love that. That's fun.
Okay, that's interesting. All right, let's see. Now we have Unknown D. How worried are you guys about Cap 4? I don't think it's going to do well, and I don't think it's going to be good, to be completely honest with you. I mean, so worried. I mean, I'm worried. I just don't. I think Thunderbolts is going to be the surprise. I think Thunderbolts is going to wind up being good, and I think the Fantastic Four is going to be good. But yeah, I think Captain America is going to wind up being disappointing.
It is odd. It's out in 9 or so weeks, or
crazy.
maybe less now, and I just don't feel the usual buzz of a Marvel movie, like that excite energy. Like I just don't quite, and I want it. I want to feel that, but I'm hoping maybe in the new year when they start the melee of press. But as of now, I'm just kind of curious more than I am like, yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
I and plus the fact it's basically 2 movies that they have reshot. So I don't know. Hunter,
it's also the most hurt by the strike of all these movies that are coming out. Is the other thing that makes me worried.
Hunter Vance. People in my YouTube feed that don't even talk movies were doing reactions to that trailer yesterday. The hype for this movie is insane. $1 billion is not out of the reach, especially if word of mouth is good. That is very important, by the way. If early critics screenings and influencer screenings and all that stuff happens up top, and they're like, "Oh man, they polished a turd with this trailer. This is not a good movie, guys." If that starts to happen, that's going to hurt it. Because look at what was the movie? Oh, look at Joker 2. Joker 2, I mean, people thought that movie was going to make $1 billion. That movie barely made $15. So, yeah, go ahead, Coy.
I also, and I this is really hard because, okay, so I literally, when something that DC makes comes out that I don't like, I've only been there for Creature Commandos and a Superman teaser, and it's hard because I really like Creature Commandos. Episode 4, I would maintain is one of the best episodes of superhero TV I've seen. It does it all. It has drama, comedy, the comic book connection. It does everything. So everything, people are going to be like, oh yeah, but he's there at DC. Like, of course he's going to say it's good. I have never, even if I was there just as someone who loves comic books, I've never talked to 3 actors who felt more like their characters. Now, I've never talked to Robert Downey Jr., so I don't know if he feels like Tony Stark in real life. But I literally had the most surreal, like, this is amazing and immersive in these characters. And I feel like the long tail of press is only going to show that more and more. I feel like we have 7 months to get to know how much these characters are being embodied by these amazing actors. So I really feel like the word of mouth is going to be only a benefit on this particular property. I understand people in the chat are going to be like, of course he says that. Yeah. But that's going to be my lot in life for the next 7 months, and I accept that.
That's right. Film Feast. I love that it is actually focusing on the romantic side of Clark and Lois, which is a big aspect of so many comic characters, which gives me hope for Bruce, Selena, Barry, and Iris, and Arthur, and Mary. I 100% agree with you. I think that what that trailer did so well was it just wasn't a bunch of images. It was a bunch of emotions attached to it and relationship. That's what I loved about the trailer.
The first thing I said after my reaction was I love that there's love in the trailer, because what good is hope if there's no love? Like, what kind of planet do we want to live on that's getting better if you don't love what are you fighting for if not love? And I do feel like, as much as I love superhero film and I love comic book adaptations, one of the things that them becoming so popular has cost us is some of the more non-punchy buddy relationships. I feel like we've worked on our friendships and we've worked on our punchy punch, but we haven't worked on love. Like, I bring it up all the time. Pepper Potts and Tony Stark feel like coworkers. I want to see characters that feel like they love each other. And it's interesting that Deadpool is the one relationship I felt like really worked. And then Deadpool 2 and 3, they didn't have Vanessa in it as much as I wanted, because I really loved their relationship in the first one.
I agree.
And it brought us pegging.
That's what you bring up. Christopher, as content creators, do you ever worry about cancel culture? If so, how do you handle it? Thanks for all you do, guys. I mean, look, there are times I think that people, there's two sides to that, right? There's one thing, it depends on what we're talking about. Like, when it's like, there's also certain things that you should also be aware of that you're saying, and that you should understand that you should be mindful of things that you're saying. That's an absolute. I do think that there's something there, though, about how, especially, and I've talked about it all the time, I think that there's a side of people on both sides that are just horrible. And there are people that just like, that get offended so fast that if you say something, especially like with jokes or anything else too, they use social media as a way to say, oh, well, then I don't like what you said and I don't like you, so I'm going to come get you. And it's like, you can't live like that, though, like to say like, oh, I got to be careful of everything that I'm going to say, because then you can't really be real. So no, but I also make sure that I try, and I hope that people realize this too. I made a vow to myself over the last like year or so. I wanted to be as honest and as me, and I'd be able to have conversations with people if I don't agree with someone. Look, I had a conversation, and this has nothing to do with on air, but Winston and I had a conversation before it even started, and I brought a particular topic up, and we talked about it like adults, like just like I think we have different points of view on it, but nonetheless, it was like a conversation that I think you can have, because I think sometimes people will either yell at someone and say, you're wrong, you don't feel the way that I do, so you're the bad guy. And I think that falls into cancel culture.
I think the other thing too, I was just having a conversation on, I think it was Spill the Tequila, where I just specifically was like, I am not informed on that subject. Yeah, so I think the easiest way to not get canceled on something, don't just shoot from the hip. You're not Han Solo. Like go get informed on something, learn the whole situation, hear everything out about it, and then form an opinion. I think where people get in trouble is they get wedged in their own beliefs or their own thoughts on something without hearing the full story. And then when they shoot from the hip, people are ready to counter. So that's when you run in trouble. You just run your mouth. Stop running your mouth and just I'm not coming for you. I'm not saying that you do, but that is what I have found. The more that I am very informed on a subject and then speak on it, and then keep the same energy, but also be open to what people want to say as a counter. Like, if you're going to say something out loud, be ready for a response.
Yeah, Coy, as someone who should have been canceled about a month ago, what do you say?
So speaking of pegging, no, I think it's tricky after literally the last thing I said before we got into this question, is it's so tricky in a world where it moves the finish line. Like, things that were said in the 90s and 2000s, 2010s are different than things that are acceptable today. And in some ways, that's acceptable. In some ways, cancel culture is consequence culture. But I don't agree with either extreme. I think there are a lot of people that I might align with ideologically in some ways that make it their entire personality to find witch hunt evils and ruin people's lives. But there are also people that ideologically I disagree with that I want to understand, so I try to be open-minded to them. But then their apt to say things that are going to hurt people I care about. So I don't think it's fair to be of either extreme. I don't think it's acceptable to say things that are going to be harming others psychologically, but I also don't think it's fair to make your entire personality, I am the right and just and noble knight, and anything I decree false, you are over. That is why I'm not really invested in anyone's extreme ideologies, and why I'm removing myself more and more from the concept of sharing in ideas, because my business is my business, your business is your business. Don't hurt people I care about, but also stay out of my shit.
Have I been telling you that for a long time, though?
I had to turn 36, Kristian. Also, my fiance is so blissfully like good at not caring about people's opinions that it's rubbing off on me. Like after enough time, I'm just like, I don't care about you. Like half this chat hates me, and I think it's hilarious that I'm talking about Hope, and they're like, I'm so mad that he likes Hope, and I'm just like, man, what that must be like for you. Yeah, like every few comments, someone's like, this democrat, or like, oh,
but wait a minute, but wait a minute, isn't that something you're talking about? Over like right now is over like 900 people watching. Isn't that something that we do? Everybody's guilty of this.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. Is like it doesn't matter to me anymore.
Right, but
yeah, and I love 850 out of 900, and that's what a gift. But those 50 are like, it's nice that I don't care about that anymore.
That's fair.
And I want that for culture, not just a retaliatory cancel culture. I want everyone to live their lives.
Quick, because I know we got to keep pushing on these questions, but that to me is also why we need more art that's unabated and not being interfered with, because that is when you start getting conversations that are legitimate conversations.
And art should be culture, and it should shift the culture, so it should be bold and not homogenized.
All right, next one is from Stephanie Litz, who says, Moana Troyer, Jill from Umbrella Academy, Storm. Hey, look, see, if she's got a good audition, absolutely. That's the same thing. It's just like, who's got the best audition? And you know, it's funny because I'm excited for people to see the Sean Gunn interview, because he talks about the kind of casting of Rachel Brosnahan and the conversation he had with James Gunn about it, and you see the questions that James asked him about it, because he had worked on Mrs. Maisel, and so he asked. It's a great story, and it goes into the whole casting and what James Gunn looks for in casting. I loved it. C Black, I'm happy that Fantastic Four is the underdog now for July 2025. Isn't that funny how it turned into the underdog? It's true, it is,
and like. In no time, in 2 minutes and 20 however many seconds.
Well, I mean, I think to be fair, about 5 days. I think once that still motion or that motion photo came out with that glorious music, that when people going, huh, what? Wait, what's super, huh, what? And like when that started happening, the fact that you could just put a picture of somebody looking like they're flying up in the air with music behind it, and it was like, ooh, that was smart stuff.
And it caused feelings.
Yes.
That's what I think about art, right? Like a lot of people don't like going to a museum can be boring, or it can be like, I'm going to stop and feel everything. That poster made me feel, and I miss that from a poster. Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, think about all the things that have been true successes. It's because it's making you feel something, either awe or hope or just raw emotion or love or things like that. All the ones that ended up like working out that way, like the fact that people said grown men were crying when they saw Wolverine put his mask on is because you tapped into something emotional. Right. So
you guys are 23 away from tying.
Come on, y'all.
Angel Torres, what if they introduce Pattinson's Batman using his movies as prequels? Which is why it's not fantastical, because he's the first hero. Love the podcast. I mean that's interesting. But the question is then, how if they're gonna still do Brave and the Bold, because he's still fairly young-ish, but to have a kid, I mean, I guess they could do that. Yeah, I think it's tricky.
Conceptually, I like it, but I want to feeling different. I'm greedy. Sorry, Winston. I'm just gonna end it there. I'm greedy.
Yeah. Did you guys? What about this one? Because I'm curious what you think. Joe Fouchot asked, "Did you see Gorilla Grodd in the Superman trailer?" I don't know what any of that means.
He's in the newspaper. There's a newspaper someone's reading, and he's on the front page.
What is?
I feel like I saw him more in Creature Commandos.
Okay,
wasn't that him in Creature Commandos?
That was oh no, it's another 8-base villain that escapes me right now. No, no, it's like a 70s guy. I forget his name, but it's like one of those punny names.
So you think we're gonna see him in the movie though?
I think it might be world building. He might be in it, but it also might be a great way to show how insane the world is by having these things like Wayne Tech.
Please,
not Ultra Humanite.
Yes, I think.
Oh, you think it's Humanite?
I saw Creature Commandos like 2 months ago.
But please go more Planet of the Apes with the technology. If you're going to do that, then Rampage type stuff. You know what I mean? Like that kind of CGI.
We saw which worked, right? Like I think they're going to take lessons.
I hope so. Joe Hendo TV. I'm currently back in college right now getting a journalism degree. Good for you, man. And I applied for a stringer position at a local newspaper, and I'm looking to write movie reviews. Any advice? The best thing that I can tell you is, again, do not worry about what you think people want to hear, whatever. Like this is what I see a lot of people do. If you go and you see a movie and then you're like, oh, I loved that movie, and then you turn around and you're like, every other critic hated it, and you're the only person who loved it. Don't change your opinion. Don't say, oh, maybe I just didn't see it the right way. It's like, no, stick to your guns and write the stuff that you want to write and lend your voice and be you. That's the best advice I can give you.
That expression, like, be yourself, everybody else is taken, I think is the most true in commentary, because why comment something someone else has already commented? And it takes like 5 to 10 years, at least for me, to establish what your line in the sand is, like what you want your voice to be and how you want to convey it. It's always evolving. You'll never be like, this is certainty, but you need to find out what your flow is, and then just keep doing it and do it for free until someone pays you.
Yeah. Blake 62. I'm already having anxiety that some villain in the future kills Crypto and Superman John Wicks the entire DCU. Protect Crypto at all costs. There's no world where James Gunn is going to kill off Crypto. He just won't. He's too much of a dog lover. He's not going to do it. You think?
I'm less worried about Crypto than I think I should be.
I think maybe I could see maybe he thinks Crypto is gone, but then Crypto's fine.
Yes. Matthew Garrett. Batman isn't Batman unless he exists in a universe with gods and monsters. We need a fantastical Batman now, where he's mortal but outsmarts them all. I mean, there is something to that, but that doesn't mean that we're not getting a Batman at all. It's just the question is, are we getting the Pattinson Batman?
I agree and disagree with that statement, because then are you honestly telling me that then Nolan Batman is not a thing? That would be my counter argument is if then your statement says that Nolan Batman is not Batman. And while it is certainly a very specific take, so I can see what you're trying to say there, I just have to disagree because of that as a great example.
All right, let's see. Ken Tobias. I'll go with 2 billion. Huge opening weekend and good word of mouth. Long box office staying power. There's no world where it makes 2 billion. there's no world.
There's a world, but a lot of things have to be working in its favor, and I just don't see it happening.
No world.
I think only 3 movies have made 2 billion so far.
I don't even know if what movies made 2. The first Avatar and Titanic.
The second Avatar, both Infinity War and Endgame.
2 billion, really?
To my knowledge, they both hit 2 billion.
Let me see.
And I think that's it.
I don't think Jurassic World and Fantastic Four affect 1 billion. I think they would affect 2.
Yeah.
Because I do think the weekend, I think July is going to be a box office record-breaking month, period, hard stop. But there is only so much money in one's wallet.
Dude, Endgame made almost 3 billion. So Endgame made 2.7. Avatar, the first Avatar, let's see, the first Avatar made 2.9. So let's see.
That's because of the re-release. That's what did that.
Yeah, but either way, it still made 2.9 overall.
No, for sure.
Way of Water made 2.3. So but I don't know, 2 bill. That's hard. You've got to have like kind of just crushing numbers in that first weekend in order to even get close to that.
And that would also mean you're talking about to hit 2 billion. Think about all the ones that we just mentioned. That's more or less, which is why Avatar is always kind of confusing to me, but that's more or less a generational event. And you could make that argument that that's exactly what Infinity War and Endgame were. You could make that argument at least with the technology for me with the Avatar films.
Right.
This would have to be a generational thing. I hope it is, but I don't know if it will be.
I would say Superman could be, and especially with the response we've seen, but I do think that's where the crowded July hampers. I think it could if there was somehow nothing else out.
But that's why I think it's just too hard from everything happening in July and then a few crossover, a couple things in August. The Nerd Gen report with a very generous super chat. Thank you, Nerd Gen. Like Matt Reeves, Batverse separate. Give Matt Reeves his respect, just like they can and let him complete his vision. Any news on Batman is big news. All attention should be on Superman. James Gunn is itching to proceed with his DCU that always involves the Batman. Oh yeah, he announced the Batman that is coming. The question is I don't think he knows yet what version that he wants to go forward with, or if he does, he's got to put it all in place. Tyler B. Hey guys, what would you think of a Commissioner Gordon Batgirl team up show set in the new DCU? Have a Merry Christmas. What do you guys think about that? Too hard to say, I think, right now.
I think we're a little early to start mapping those things out, just because we need to get through the first wave to really establish tone. But it's always a fun, yes, generally.
That and I don't want to overextend us in the sense of, if we're already getting the dynamic duo of Nightwing and Red Hood, I don't want to spin off, like Coy said, hella spin-offs before we're even set yet.
Right. Buster Barnes coming in here says, I agree with Winston that the guy in black is a Luthor clone Bizarro, but he'll be called Ultraman for namesake, even if not like the comic book version. I mean, again, that's stuff that I'm going to have to find out in the movies, because when you guys are talking about it, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Chris Bench, if they keep Pattinson and the DCU separate, they get to take my money twice. Doesn't DC like money? What say you? I mean, that is the argument to be made, right? Coy is like, okay, look, we're making.
Like I said, I'm greedy because I'm gonna see both.
Right. So and then they should be greedy to do that. So I don't know. I think that is.
There are new Batman titles every week. Like DC is Detective Comics. It's Batman. I just don't see a world where we have to worry about the most popular character in comic books. Maybe Spider-Man, but Batman, it's hard to say. But I don't think we have to worry about a world. I espoused for Spider-Man having 3 Spider-Man at all times. I want Toby and Andrew and Tom because they're different enough. Batman is certainly different enough from just being Pattinson's take, where you can have Pattinson and the animated-esque one. So why cut half of your potential?
Right.
Yeah. The only pushback I'll give you real quick on Toby, Andrew, and Tom, that was decades essentially to separate them versus trying to force them together midstream.
Right. All right. Let's see. Wes Morris. That Superman trailer made me cry a bit. I can't imagine what the actual movie is going to do. This is a Coy question. Coy, who's your fan cast for Mr. Miracle? After New Gods #1, I keep seeing Andrew Garfield as Mr. Free.
Scott Free as Andrew Garfield is solid. I really like that. The two I've had for a little while are Jake Gyllenhaal, because I think that he has this weird darkness underneath being stupid handsome. He's a theater kid trapped in a handsome body. And I feel like Scott Free has that darkness. I mean, his story is very heavy. But the other one I really think could be cool is Adam Scott. I think there's a comedic element to. It's totally different than Jake Gyllenhaal, right? But the comedy comes from a place of darkness, and I feel like Adam Scott's never gotten to flex on a movie scale, and I think he'd be a really interesting take on Scott Free, and that could add some depth. And the humor always comes from a place of defensiveness that I think could be interesting with Adam Scott.
I like that. Sun
Tzu. After seeing the Soups trailer, I don't think that Pattinson fits in this comic accurate world that Gunn is building. I think they have to cast a new Batman. I think it's a totally fair comment. Totally fair. Really, I mean, yeah, I think that's what we've been kind of discussing, right? Is that it's just a matter of how it's going to work in tonally. Rolo Tomasi. For all the trailer haters, Superman is forced by officials and public to not act due to a plot by Luthor to tarnish his rep. Lois talks him out. Let's see. I don't know. I mean, I guess that's what is that what
that's their theory, I'm guessing? Is that what they're describing the trailers, how they see it?
I assume so. Kingsport Cal. I need a sneak peek to your plans for the channel in 2025. You got anything planned? This has been a big year for you with the set changes and move. Well, thank you, first of all. You've been a very a supporter since day one. Yeah, I mean, someone asked me this on the membership stuff and all, and basically the plan is going to be, I'm going to rebuild this studio. I'm going to put some different lights in the studio for sure. I'm probably going to build out a second podcast room in the other room here and for interviews and things of that nature. But I'm going to go heavy on the movie reactions that we've been working on. My goal is to try to make sure that we have at least 2 or 3 a week. That's the goal for that. More interviews, the clip out channels, building those out. Doing the things I want. I mean, right now we're averaging anywhere between 600 to 1,200 viewers live an episode. I'd like to get that goal to 2,000 an episode. That's one of my bigger goals. I want to make sure that we are doing the things that we're doing, more reviews, everything else, and just kind of keep moving forward. So, yeah, and you guys been supporting has been great. So thank you so much, and I'm glad that we've been able to do everything that we have been. And Corn Emperor is throwing in a little donation here. Thank you, sir. Retro Rebels. I've seen the trailer 48 times and 36 reaction videos. Your reactions brought the most excitement. This podcast was my number one on Spotify. Thanks, man.
Awesome.
Kristian would know that if he checked his DMs. Haha. Love you all. Cheers to New Year's of Hope. My DMs and Instagram and Facebook messages have messages. I responded to someone last month that sent me a message in 2018.
God damn.
Yeah. Those places are hard to reach me because I'll go through and I'll look at some stuff sometimes, but it's like this. I don't have any time to do anything. Yeah, but thank you. I'm glad that it is for sure. That's very, very kind. Corn Emperor throws in another $1. Thank you, sir. 3 Jinja Ninjas. I love that. Kristian, long-term fan from Australia. That's amazing. Some of my family are currently on a plane to the way to New York for Christmas. Oh, so much fun. Do you have a New York-style pizza recommendation in the city? Yes, Prince Street Pizza. Go to Prince Street Pizza. The other thing I would recommend is going to Dave Portnoy's pizza reviews, One Bite Pizza, and looking in Manhattan stuff. His stuff is pretty accurate for a lot of the things that he likes in Manhattan. Georgie Dian. I'm bored to death of the MCU. Superman feels fresh. I think that's going to be a big thing. I think that is a big thing that people are going to start to. I think DC has an opportunity to kind of to grab the torch for a little bit.
And then I think it's perfectly timed for DC to be like building out uniquely, and then for Marvel to be like, hey, some of that's working. And then X-Men, like the timing is amazing for both of these houses to be at the peak of power. Like we could have 2 great universes, and I want that.
Oh my God, we really got to try to get through these to make sure we get everybody's question, because
what number are we at?
Well, before I even do that, this question that came in, this is from Mike Joyce, who sent this in at 227, who said, tee, the number super chat is at 69. That was a long time ago because it's at 121.
Oh,
yeah, so Corn Emperor with another $1 there. Big Bang OT4. When should Justice League come out, and which heroes in it? Which heroes in it? Who knows yet? Because we haven't set that up. But the answer to that question is take your time.
Take your time.
When it needs to is when that should come out. When it's time.
Yeah, Corn Emperor, yeehaw! Spoiler hat, just cause. Okay, I hate that hat. Just kidding. Corn Emperor with Corn Emperor. Thank you. Andrew Carnes, Snyder fans, antics aside, for you guys, who's talking in the background? Is that a worker or something?
I think it's the guy at the gutters.
Okay. Snyder fans, antics aside, for you guys personally, after which movies did you all feel like the DCEU was unsalvageable, needed a reboot? I think it was the Joss Whedon Justice League. I think that was when they didn't know what they were doing anymore with it. They were just kind of like throwing spaghetti on the wall.
Wonder Woman 84. I understand the pandemic messed with stuff. Justice League was bad, but I was like, you could maybe recover from this. And then we just never got our footing back.
Yeah.
I think when people started being, I don't think you can survive any sort of universe if the fandom is vitriolic. And I think that I love some of those movies a lot, and it wasn't a place you could feel safe to discuss them. So for me, it wasn't even a movie. It was an experience. It was the dealings of it. It was when I felt like it really couldn't go anywhere.
I think Star Wars is suffering from that too.
It's just hard. Like if you like, I want to enjoy, right? Like that's the point of this.
Hunter Vance, Coy, that Boris Pelcher Dark Knight poster is sick.
Yeah, that Mondo right there. Thank you, man.
That's pretty cool. Corn Emperor, sup. And let's see. Tyler B. Will there ever be a movie told in the supervillain's point of view, being hunted by the hero? If it's a low budget movie, maybe. But
it can't be the lead out. I think that was part of my problem with the Spider-Man villain verse, is if we've established Spider-Man in whatever this universe is, and then you want to do that, great. That's why Thanos, for example, worked. Infinity War is a Thanos movie, for being honest. That worked because we had spent time with the heroes, and now we're getting to see this other side of it.
Harry Myers, I don't buy the Pattinson rumor. Gunn and Saffron wrote a Bible for DC to start. I don't think this Bible would include slapping on a separate universe. Unless they had conversations that, after that you make an announcement, you can have conversations that, well, what if we did this? You never know. Marcus M., the DCU is taking the DCAU route where you can have all these characters and stories, but they're not all connected. I mean,
and the DC animated movies do very well for a reason.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's true. The real red 5. I don't really do DCEU. What are some essential watches to get into this DC? I mean,
Superman.
yeah, I don't think there's really. No, I mean, you could do Creature Commandos just to be set into it, but I think that the beauty of it is that's another thing that it has going for it is that you can start with Superman. So it's like you don't really. I don't think they want you to watch anything else. I think they want you to start with Superman.
The only thing I could say is someone brought up the DCAU, and if you're talking about like the old school Batman the animated series, Superman the animated series, I'm getting the same Superman animated series vibes from this teaser trailer. So if you want to just see what a positive looking Superman and that maybe, but other than that, we're starting. So
could also read some comics like that. It's being very comic inspired. Look at that trailer.
Mike Joyce, #Justice for Weasel. Never thought I'd cry over Weasel. Yeah, I mean, it's very well done. And I actually talked to Sean about that episode. I forgot actually too until I was interviewing. He does the GI Robot voice too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, episodes 3 and 4 were like gun-tastic.
Yep. Corn Emperor Quick Freeze. Cool. There you go. Perfect. Matthew Garrett. MCU is washed. DCU has a chance to succeed it. Let's see what happens in 2025 first. I mean, if Captain America could start off not great, or it could start off great, because if Captain America, Thunderbolts, and Fantastic Four hits, it's going to be a different conversation.
X-Men 97 and Deadpool and Wolverine came out this year. I don't think they're washed.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think it's even remotely close. I think they're not doing well. You got to start looking at, do we need to genuinely blow this team up and go into a rebuild? But no, you have too much success in places to call out.
Go pal. I saw Dune Prophecy was renewed for season 2. Hopefully, after the finale, I'll understand what the arc is. So as much as I enjoy it, I don't get it from a story structural perspective. I can't speak enough on it because I've only seen 2 episodes, but I like the 2 that I saw. Are you guys caught up on it?
Yeah, I'm putting on my finale review on Sunday when it drops, but I've watched through 5, and I think there was a lull in the middle, and then it really got better, so I'm glad to hear season 2 is happening, because I love where it's ascending to.
Good. I'm looking forward to watching that one. I'm just trying to catch up on the award movies right now. It's me, Steve-O. For all predictions for 2025, John David joins MCU Fly. Fantastic Four. I don't know what that means. For all predictions for 2025.
For all of us, predictions for 2025.
Just in general, it'll be a good year.
Is that the only thing that it says?
Yeah.
For all predictions for 2025? Yeah, I guess that's it. Then it's just what all of us think.
Fascia Bruta. Your top movies of 24. Anora, Bike Riders, Your Monster. Well, I mean, I got to watch the rest of them too, so I can't give that yet, but I'm going to be doing my top 10 list that'll drop on Thursday. So you'll have my full list on there pretty soon.
I'm dropping mine next week. I need to see A Real Pain and a few more first. But I loved A Complete Unknown. It's going to make somewhere in there. I just saw it.
Definitely going to be It's great.
So many movies to finish first before I can answer that.
Matt Thomas. Grew up with Cleveland getting shat on my whole life. So when something like this comes along for Cleveland's greatest export ever, got to ride with it. Of course. Yeah.
There's a reason why, people in Cleveland were so big when LeBron was like, Cleveland, this one's for you. Because not a lot of good stuff happens in Cleveland.
Superman, The Drew Carey Show, Machine Gun Kelly, always riding with him.
Roman Fedorak. Coy, I respect your opinion on Furiosa. June 2 is number 1. Yeah, it's the best. Pete Parker, 2288. I wonder if the Kaiju battle is the opening, and that's when all the cameos take place. People are mad at. People are mad at for Soups for all the destruction. Merry Christmas. That could happen. Like, it opens up like, hey, we're throwing you right into this thing. There's a big old Kaiju. Superman's fighting. It's causing some shit and all this stuff, and the people are sick of it. I can see that.
I could also see that little girl being it's a little girl, right?
Which one? The one that says Superman? I think that's.
Oh, the when
with the yellow propane.
Where the yellow, where he pushes her head down and covers her. I think that's
yes.
But either way, I have a feeling that almost feels like a similar call out, but sort of pseudo opposite of what we got out of Man of Steel, where he's fighting Zod at the best of his ability, and there's a lot of like death and destruction happening. I have a feeling he's in the middle of that fight, goes to save that girl, and then something else happens, or the villain gets away or something, and that's where the throwing at the back of the head or whatever it is because he stopped to save a little girl instead of doing his job. I don't know.
Aisha Kenya. Happy holidays, fellas. Thank you, Aisha. What's the next DCU film you think Gunn will direct? And should he continue to direct films in this universe? Yes, he should definitely. If he wants to direct, he should. But he should take a break, because he even said it himself. He was miserable because all the pressure he had and all that stuff too. So take a break. I think it'll probably be Superman 2. not including like Peacemaker and stuff.
Yeah, I think he should keep directing if he wants. I think that's the beauty of having him and Peter Safran as, you know, two entities that are keeping an eye. And then the rest of DC Studios, like clearly with all this marketing, everything we've seen is in a good spot.
Yeah. I just hope it's only 1 or 2 per phase. I don't want him to I want him to be so involved with everything. If he is directing every movie, he's not gonna be able to, you know, make sure everything else is going.
Okay, so that was last one. Here's Freddie Ricks. Who is someone that never got to play Superman that you think would have been good? My pick is young Brendan Fraser. You know who was up for it? That would have been interesting. It was Christian Bale.
I'm going to go with Brendan Fraser as well, but just so I have my own, Matt Bomer would have been interesting too.
Yeah.
Matt Bomer would have been great. Yeah. I don't know. I'll ruminate.
Josh Hartnett as well. He turned it down.
Oh, did he really? Ed Boy Movies. If Sadie Sinks is Jean, who's your Scott Summers? I mean, at that point, you'd find someone I think more of an unknown at that point. I think you do what you did with Xmen in 2000 and put relatively unknown people. Hugh Jackman was unknown for the most part. What's his face from Cyclops and oh my God, James Marsden was pretty much unknown at that point. There are a lot of unknowns. I think Halle Berry was probably the most known, and not minus Magneto and Professor X. I
also don't know the youths. Yeah, like I don't know 20-year-old actors.
Right. Yeah, I think the youths. You got to put in the 2 youths. Braden Thompson. No shot that Soups hits $1 billion. Not while sandwiched between Jurassic Park and Fantastic Four. I understand that argument, but I just don't. I think no shot is you can't say. Let's see what happens as the hype gets closer to the actual movie itself. Stephanie Litz. Worse. What's the worst $1 billion movie? Lion King or Jurassic World? The first Jurassic World? I like the first Jurassic World, and I didn't mind Lion King either. So out of the 2 of those, I'd have to say Lion King because it's pretty much just a shot by shot. I liked the first Jurassic World. I didn't like any ones that followed it, but I didn't mind it. What do you guys think?
Probably Jurassic World was the worst one for me just because I found myself laughing more at moments of like saving the 2 giant margaritas and getting dropped by the pterodactyl and actually going, this is a great movie. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Whereas The Lion King, I had my issues, but for the most part, I was like, I still enjoyed myself, like legitimately.
For me, Lion King sullies Donald Glover's otherwise perfect resume. So I got to go Lion King. It's got way too good of a cast to waste it on animals that aren't emoting. And it kind of sullies how do you make The Lion King like neutral? I don't know. I'm not big on The Lion King.
Kaylin J. I think Guy Gardner's look is intentional. Oh, it definitely is intentional. Like a lantern turned rogue working for Maxwell Lord. He's meant to look like an a-hole. Oh, I get it. He just looks like such a douche. Maybe and that's kind of the point. Everyone that says he looks comic accurate, so I get it. Go Gablooey. I said it before, but I don't understand why people think the Batman can't fit in the DCU when he has so many grounded stories to tell within a fantastical world. I mean, it could work. The question is, do we think that, it would just be too much of a transition?
I just don't want to see Batman doing, or the Penguin's an even better example. Yeah. Everyone is like, where was Batman the whole time? And I'm like, well, Crypto. Like, there's just such a different energy. And I know that comics can be like that, but the medium difference between a drawing and an actor playing a character is strong.
True. Go, pal. Did you ever see the 2002 Birds of Prey series? Good, not great, but had Dina Meyer as Barbara Gordon and Ashley Scott as Helena Kyle.
I do remember. I didn't watch it though, but I do remember the show. And my answer to this young dude that didn't play Superman, Matt Damon, a young Matt Damon, actually would have been a good Clark Kent, I think.
Yeah, that's not bad.
I like that.
Yeah. Hunter Vance, Kristian, you just bust ass. You get the fart noise on Sarah's show had me dying of laughter. I did. There was one that was legit. Was a chair was moved over, and Sarah in the middle of his thought goes, "Did you just bust ass?" I was like, "No." And then right afterwards, I did the right after he did it, I went like this, and he turned into a 13-year-old kid. It was hilarious. Draw Riles, Fantastic Four versus Superman, July 2025. The rivalry is already starting. Yeah, it's pretty fun that it is. I think that's fun, and it's good to see former Marvel guy and James Gunn taking on the old crew. Josh Needle. The first Iron Man was way more grounded than later MCU movies like Infinity War, but they gradually made adjustments with each film along the way to make it fit. They could do the same with the Batman in the DCU. I mean, it's a good point.
But
by Batman 10, we certainly could.
Yeah, by Batman 10, it's true. You'd have to build it. Yeah. Yeah.
But my immediate pushback is that we already connected in Incredible Hulk and Iron Man the same year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
if
back to back, it was back to month. It was like 2 months apart. Yeah.
So if that's the case, because Tony showed up in a post credit immediately after meeting, these are connected.
It wasn't even a
already
post credit.
made it fantastical.
It wasn't even a post credit. It was part of the movie. That's even crazy.
Right.
Yeah. Alex.
And he made up science in the movie. Like the movie's about a guy with a hole in his chest that does magic, but it's science.
All right. Kristian, I went directly to your channel because I had no one to immediately talk to after the trailer released today. I knew you'd be the best to experience the moment with. Oh, thanks, man. Thank you for sharing your vulnerability. Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I definitely got emotional in that one, so thank you. I appreciate that. Eric Kirby. Coy, I don't hate you. Now, Eric Cartman from South Park hates you because of your hair color. Just keep doing you, Coy. You are cool. That's pretty awesome. Mr. R. Miguel, favorite of these three. Iron Man 1, Cap 1, Thor 1. So I literally did a reaction of the Avengers today with Samantha that's going to release on Christmas. So rewatching these movies, these are so fresh in my mind. I would have to say, man, Iron Man 1, then Cap, and then Thor.
Iron Man, Thor, Cap for me.
Okay.
It used to be Iron Man, Thor, Cap for me. Now it's Iron Man, Cap, Thor.
Yeah.
On rewatch.
Yeah, on a rewatch. Current Emperor, let's go. Current Emperor, throwing in another one, trying to get you guys over that hump. And then let's see, Current Emperor, stick to your James Gunns. J Mobile, did you hear about Snyder mentioning the Gunn and Reeves talk about Pattinson being in the DCU? Thoughts? What's this mean for Brave and the Bold? You must have come in late because I think we spent.
That's been the whole episode.
I think we spent about an hour talking about it. So I would just say go back and listen to some of this stuff because we talked about it for a good hour. Matthew Garrett, Nolan Batman is failed American Bond, not Batman. Oh wow. That's a take. That's a take. I don't agree with it, but that's a take. Matthew.
Sometimes
Garrett,
I type words.
Truth, justice, and the American way. $2 billion is I just can't see it. I would love it, but I don't see it. David Cole, who's your favorite Robin? Live action? I mean, there's only been one. There's only been two.
If you just mean the character, Dick Grayson. If you mean live action.
Yeah, Dick Grayson would be my favorite. Yeah, live action is only I would say Burt Ward.
You've got Titans. Titans did introduce us to both Jason, Todd, and Dick. So probably honestly the Dick from Titans I actually really like a lot.
Yeah, Dick Grayson's my favorite overall, but I got a soft spot for Jason Todd or Tim Drake.
Armada, did you guys think the mob guys got annoying in Anora? They were mob guys. That was the whole point, is the fact that you thought they were mob guys. They're not mob guys. They're just bumbling idiots, and it's hilarious. It's hilarious. No, I didn't find them annoying at all. I found them hilarious.
Where do I watch this? Is it in theaters or is it?
Yeah, dude, it's real solid. It's in theaters.
Yeah, and the guy, I didn't find them to be. I found them to be real. Like there's one scene that like the diner when he's like, you have no respect for your elders, just yelling at him for nowhere. I can't believe that one weirdo on Twitter would have thought that it's so funny. It's such a funny movie. Danny Rimkus, Pattinson Batman is year 2. DCU has Damian Wayne.
That exactly. Like Damian Wayne is decades into Batman. Not that the movie needs to be, but if you start Batman later in his career, then you can have Damian Wayne. But if you start at the beginning of his career, what? It just doesn't work for me.
Unknown. Assuming both Fantastic Four and Superman are good, Fantastic Four will make more money because the average moviegoer still has good with Marvel compared to DC. Not necessarily.
I got to disagree with that because on top of that, Superman is a bigger name than the Fantastic Four if we're calling a spade here.
Yeah. Paige Chowji just gifted 5 memberships. Thank you so much, Paige.
Oh,
yeah, people have been doing that, and it's been so incredible. We do these live Q&As and live streams now, and I see all these new people coming in, and more people have live access to the Capes and Cowls comics. It's great. Anthony Robal. Anyways, Merry Christmas, fellas. You guys made this year less harder. Appreciate you guys, and Happy New Year to you and your family. Thank you, Anthony. Same to you, man. Thank you. Go, pal. Oh, man. Rolo reminds me I need to watch L.A. Confidential again. Oh, that's a great movie. I love that movie. So good. Fascia Bruta. What's your drink? Beer, wine, or liquor? You know, over the last 5 years, it's been red wine. Over the last 5 years, yeah.
I've always been a liquor guy, man. Give me some Crown Royal Vanilla. Give me some Macallan, preferably 18, but some 12 is good. Yeah, liquor.
It used to be drink liquor to get drunk and drink beer socially. Now it's drink beer casually, but drink whiskey to like enjoy the taste. I don't really get drunk as much. So like sipping whiskey, socially beer right now.
Yeah, I've been drinking wine like a lunatic. Knock around guy. I thought that the first Superman trailer was great, established the tone without giving away the story details, getting ahead of ourselves. What concerns should the second trailer address? Sole focus on Superman? Definitely should show you the Superman story, the emotion, and give us some dialogue about what it's about.
I think the second trailer just maybe give us like dialogue beats, because I love that this one is so emotional based. I don't want too much story, but maybe just interactions verbally versus interactions emotionally, like having a conversation with Lois and Jimmy and Superman. Like those little beats of like the humanity juxtaposing the surreal imagery would be cool.
Just enough to give us the world. So if we really are in the corporate space of superheroes and like this is my team that does whatever, if you want to establish that, because that would be an Act 1 early situation, fine. But other than that, I don't want much more.
Nathan Stowe, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Jay Mobile, the Reeves Batverse has already used Gordon, Joker, Penguin, Alfred, and supposedly Owls and more. Can't imagine a separate Batverse without these icons. Yeah, you're gonna have to use them again.
You can use them. You can what?
Yeah, I'm saying you can use them again, but you're just gonna have to have like dual ones.
Recast again or whatever.
Roland, when the soda can hits Superman's head in the trailer, he flinches. Any opinions on Superman's power level and iteration? It's a good point because he's bleeding and other things too. Like what's he feeling?
He's either fighting another Kryptonian or something similar. So like, again, an Ultraman or a Bizarro or a Brainiac. Brainiac makes him bleed a lot. That's been a lot of the question as far as any sort of kaiju stuff going on and things like that. I think there's a number of things. And I think the can flinch, they probably tried really hard. That might just be the actor being like, I got hit upside the head with a can.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. Paige Chowdhury for Winston, my fellow Texan. Let's go. Okay.
Also, like, he's the Man of Steel, but he still feels things, or Lois would be really bored. Like, he's got to be able to like feel.
Steph D Agnosti, aka Marvel Man, not Ultra Humanite. The gorilla is Kongorilla.
Thank you, Kongorilla. I knew it was a 70s name with a pun in it. Kongorilla. I appreciate you.
Damn gorilla villains are there.
The Justice League, the GC's been around so long, like it was the 40s, so there was a lot of times that he got really popular again in the 70s, and I remember thinking that pun was funny, but he's been around forever, and that era of naming superheroes was super popular in the World War II times.
Gopal, Grodd was with the princess though, right?
I think that was still Kongorilla.
That must be Kongorilla, because that was what I thought. I thought specifically that was Grodd, but
this is all German. Levi, just watched the Superman trailer again just now. I still get misty eyed after my 20-something watch. Yeah, it's special, man. It's definitely special for sure. Okay, this is from Hashi B. Says, "Yep." Okay, Bobby Onse. Honora was amazing. That guy was crazy not thinking it's funny. Also, you better put respect on Thor Love and Thunder's name. You stop that right now. I'll defend it to the end. Zeus, it stinks like egg shit. It stinks. I hate that movie. That movie stinks. I'm dreading doing the rewatch. I'm dreading it.
Well, it always hurts when you know there's something you don't want to rewatch.
Dreading it. Jay Mobile, I hope they cast a good Cyclops. He always felt kind of small and weenie in Marsden and Sheridan. It should feel like someone who could stand toe to toe with Captain America. I think they should do a pretty solid one, like they did in Xmen '97.
Mm-hmm. You need to feasibly believe that not only is he a leader and is empathetic, but could flip on a dime from just being like, enough is enough.
Yep. Okay. Gumgo Kablooey. I also wanted to add that I don't think that they have to put Robert Pattinson Batman in the DCU. I'm more attacking the argument that the grounded stories can't fit in a fantastical world. Yeah, I mean, you can.
Oh, yeah. I can see that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can make it work. It's just that is the question. Okay, let's see. Is there any more? Yes. Juan Visuals. Coy, Eric Kripke was interested in adapting the comic Saga. Would you like to see an adapted for TV? And is Kripke the person that should do that?
Saga is one of my favorite comics of all time. Saga is otherworldly in a really, really big way that I don't know if it's filmable, but I love the challenge of unfilmable comics. Kripke is very good at the R-rated elements, but I've never seen his otherworldly. I've seen him do stuff set in our world for the most part, so I'd be curious what his pitch would be and how he'd handle it. I'd love to see a big, broad sci-fi cosmic director that has R-rated sensibilities, but Kripke has steered me like in all the right directions by adapting things I thought wouldn't work in the medium, so I'd be all about it.
This is from Lee Cameron, who says, in my opinion, Superman is going to be a success. Fantastic Four will be terrible, and Marvel will continue to decline. I have no faith in Marvel, sadly. I can understand people just being kind of like, I don't know, Marvel's going to do anything with it, but I have faith in Fantastic Four. Yeah.
I'm curious about Fantastic Four, but I don't believe in any universal, like, things are up, things are down, because each is a different director, each is a different team. They're under an umbrella, but, like, when I see an A24 film, I don't assume anything. I hope it's good because I like A24, but I'm not making my assessment before I see it.
Kingsport Cal. Coy, did you prove your parents wrong? DC job.
My parents are weirdly and have always been so supportive. My parents met in art school. My parents are artists. My parents love comic books. So they love that I have a platform to talk about comics, but they've always been supportive, fortunately.
And then Buster Barnes. Kung Gorilla is the yellow gorilla in prison. Grodd is the one in Cersei's vision with the princess. There you go.
Okay,
that makes more sense. All right.
Yeah. So you were both right, but I did not remember there being two because it's been a little while since I've seen it.
Well, we did a long show, guys. So with that, I would have played the Capes and Cowls thing if we hit, but unfortunately, Mike Kalinowski has lost.
You got me. I fell for that. I fell for that.
136. 136. The champs retain.
World Spiders, baby.
137. 137.
Santa's name out your effing mouth.
Superman is vulnerable to magic, is what Nathan says. As the champs win. This is your second or third week in a row. I can't remember.
It's like in a row.
We
missed one. We missed my birthday week, so this will be the
second in a row. So the champs win again, and this was a hard week to win because
my God,
this was a hard week. So we did it.
We're like you know what we are? We're the damn what's their name?
Bulls?
The Chiefs, man. We had what? The 22nd, we hit the 29th, we missed the 6th, we hit the 13th, and then we hit the 20th. Yeah,
that was a tough one. So I thought it was gonna be hard to beat. I thought it was gonna be hard to beat Roca this week. So there you go. 137 with almost a 3-hour show here today because there's so many questions. Thank you guys for the show. I gotta thank Winston and Coy. Guys, just real quick, where can they find your channel?
At Coy Jandreau on YouTube, CoyJandreau. Also Coycast, also Patreon, also Twitter, also not Twitter, also Instagram, also TikTok. Find me
at the Swaggy Blurred across all platforms, especially on YouTube.
Well, there you go, guys. Thank you for joining us on the show here today. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for the entire week. Thank you for for everything that you guys have been doing. For all the new members, hope you enjoy all the live streams we've been doing, the exclusive ones, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, anywhere podcasts are found. Thanks for joining us. We have some more stuff. Remember, all next week, got a bunch of new things coming up. If you haven't joined the Clips channel, please do that. So, for Winston and Coy, it is the Capes and Cowls show. It is the Kristian Harloff show. We'll see you guys later. Bye.